We will wait for everybody to get in here before we start looking through some stuff with Mr. Jace from Jason's Exotic Reptiles, looking dapper in his sweatshirt there.
Thank you, Dan.
Of course, and the folding chairs. We're getting ready to have a wrestling match after this. Oh man, it just takes a few minutes for people to get the notification for live. So I know. I tried to put it on Instagram. I put it on YouTube. I'm wondering.
Let me see. I think I saw you tag me.
I did. I wonder how many people are going to be dragging because of the time change that happens every single year. I thought about that when you said, "Oh, let's do like 10 o'clock." I'm like, "Shit! I wonder if he knows the time's changed and he's got an hour less to prepare."
I didn't. It totally messed me up. I told you I was going to study for this.
Yeah.
This morning.
Oh, you never did?
No, I ended up getting bagels and called it a day. I barely made it home.
Whatever. You got bagels. That's something.
It is. We got bagels, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I went to bed early last night. I was just tired, so it worked out for me.
Saving his energy for me.
So now it's showing me that you just tagged me in that. What's up, guys? Say hello. Hopefully you guys follow Jason already.
Yeah, go do it. Like, come on.
It's so funny. I get notifications from YouTube to watch my own live videos. I don't know why. It'll send me emails like, "Oh, live on your channel." It's like, no shit. I'm there.
No way.
Yeah, right?
So this is
Hi, Lisa. Lisa doesn't like the time change.
Oh, no, that's terrible. This is actually my third live video. I did one by myself, one with another channel last week.
Oh, really? Look at you.
I know.
You're getting out there.
I want to do one.
Not much. What's up, Phil? Yeah. We're gonna teach Jason some things. It's scary when I'm teaching anything about technology, but Jason and I are very similar in that we are not tech savvy people. So
yeah.
you have a little more production value than I do, though. You have the fancy camera.
I don't know about that. That was one of those. I had too many people complaining about the quality.
Oh yeah.
I need to figure out how to fix my sound now. So if there's anybody out there on Dan's channel that knows how to fix sound, please let me know.
So I remember when we filmed in your old room, it was like the incubator or something. Like all you could hear was the fan. Oh yeah, that fan too is probably killing people. But I remember that from last time watching the video back. I'm like, oh man, you can hear it. In person, I didn't even notice, but on the video, it definitely picks up.
Well, the sound problem that people are having, I guess, is when they wear headphones, they're saying that the left or right, my voice is louder in them.
Oh, really?
And I have no idea how to fix that.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Edit your sound. I'm like, wait, you can edit the sound?
Yeah. What is it? What do you mean? Yeah, I've definitely never edited sound ever. So this is Jason's new snake room to anybody that doesn't follow him. All right, so Phil says he's a stonemason. He works with rocks, so he's no good at sound.
All right, you're useless.
Yeah.
I need
So we have some of the other stuff over here. Oh, here, this is good because Jason was asking about super chats. So Adam just did a super chat. So now it highlights it. It'll keep it up at the top for a certain amount of time on the live stream, and based on how much they super chat, it keeps it there for longer or shorter. Wow. So like if you super chat $100, it stays up there forever, whereas if you do like $2, it's only up there for a little while.
Wow! Somebody super chat Dan $100 and then put $100 in my PayPal.
Yeah. So I have a client, but I just want to say you two are my biggest inspirations to start working with my animals in a greater capacity and making content. So thank you, Adam. I think Adam follows you as well. I know it's tough to keep track of everybody. That's what I'm struggling with. A little Burmese action here. So that's crazy to me. Like my Burm would have come flying out with a food response. Yours are just so calm.
Yeah, this girl's cool. She's going into shed right now, so she doesn't look as bright as she normally does, but she's awesome.
Now, what is she, a pearl?
She's a pearl Burmese python that's full of poop. And, and
short-tail people know that life.
Yeah, she's just a cool snake. She's been like my pet, so I take her out quite a bit. That's what I like about Burms. What I love and I hate about Burms is that they don't move when they're tame.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, which is also boring. So a retic would be moving all around. Some retics you get calm, but I mean this girl, she'll move if I pick her up and wake her up. She just wants to.
Yeah, some of my short tails are the same way, man. In their cage, they don't want to do anything, but once you get them outside or start really getting them going, they'll move a little bit. Yeah, the typical Burmese talkativeness.
Cool. She's one of my favorites. So she's been raised up as one of my pets. I'll eventually breed her, but right now she's a cool pet.
We all have them.
Yes. What do you guys want to see?
Yeah, tell us some stuff you want to see. Jason's got a lot of boas, a lot of Burmese pythons. Got a couple colubrids here and there.
Yeah. Fancy
he has some seriously nice boas. Yeah, it is a very nice room, Phil. And he did the floors real nice in here. They're all flashy. You gotta get a disco ball in here, man.
Fancy. I was gonna get one right in the middle, but then I had to get the ceilings done. So.
Mike wants to see a Doomrils or I don't know if he said BCL or BCI. I can't tell in the little writing.
We'll show you both.
I think that's BCL, correct, Mike?
All right, so Humorous. This girl here. So this is a female Humorous. She's about 7 years old. So they grow smaller, they get larger. We'll go look at a couple larger ones in a minute. But you know, this is a female Humorous. I do think she has some babies in her. So we'll see what happens with her.
Is that one that we ultrasound earlier?
That's one we ultrasounded earlier, and she was starting to move, and I didn't really feel like spending too much time trying to get her to see for sure. This is an anery BCL.
Oh, deep in shed.
Yeah, deep in shed. We have a couple more we'll take a better look at. But that's an anathoristic BCL.
And then somebody said tremendous, and then somebody said Peruvian red tails as well.
Yep. So there's that's another, this is a Peruvian boa, but a Peruvian short tail. She's also in shed. See if we can find a BCL that's not in shed. Then we have two different types of Peruvians. We have Iquitos and Pacalpa. So that's a Pacalpa, I'm sorry, this is an Iquitos Peruvian girl wild caught. Or I'm sorry, farm bred. So that's a Peruvian red tail. And then this is a Pacalpa female. This is captive bred. And she's kind of like a line I've been working with. She's got the super reduced saddles and really pretty snake.
Yeah, I like that.
And then let's see if I can find another BCL.
Does Jason have Amarali, if I'm pronouncing that right?
Don't.
He does not.
That's Argentina or Bolivian.
Okay. I have seen those. I think, I want to say like Matt Turner and maybe Matt Minatola. One of those two have them, I think.
They're all in shed.
They get in cycles together, I swear.
Yeah, that's in shed.
Which is funny for me because like I don't feed my stuff all together, but I still seem to get sheds all together.
That's a decent looking anery BCL there. I wish my really pretty looking one wasn't in shed because she's awesome looking.
Doing the filming by hand today, so if I'm shaking, I apologize. Somebody asked what colubrids you have.
So I mainly kind of have corn snakes, which is my new little project. So they're not officially set up yet, which is my super official setup. We have the Clorox bleach weight, and the Fabuloso. So those are
Now, which weight do you find works better for corns?
currently the Fabuloso because it has a little bit more in it than
There
the
you go.
bleach.
There you go.
But this is also, to keep things in how it needs to be. So we have our little corn snake. We have a couple snows floating around. I'm like, what's she floating around for? She's not dead. She just ate the other day.
They do that sometimes. It reduces the weight in there, lets them digest. A lot of snakes will go in the water. Somebody asked if you food cycle the way Vin Russo does.
No.
It's a cool little corn.
Yeah, some cool stuff. And I don't food cycle. I don't believe in it. I guess it should say define food cycle, but not the way Vin Russo does it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't do it. None of my snakes none of my boas go more than 3 to 4 weeks without a meal. But I feed smaller meals.
You got to show off those.
Oh yeah.
Those because those are really cool to me.
This is more like my wife's project. So these are black milk snakes, much less common than the black king snakes that people are familiar with, but they do look pretty different. I mean, the head structure is very different, and these are kind of small.
Now, I think when we talked about these last time I was at your house, it wasn't on the video, but aren't these the ones that start off looking like a regular milk snake and then change black?
They do. So you can. I don't know if the video is going to catch it, but you can
so
almost
iridescent.
see their belly where they haven't changed yet. These are about the age where they lost all their original pattern. I think it's cool because it's almost like an IMG milk snake, an increased melanin gene milk snake. And then I have some, my buddy Chester. We'll hold him some time.
He's like twice in one day. This is bullshit, man.
Yeah, this guy, I like him. This is little Chester. He's going to be a future breeder. He named him Chester for a reason. It's going to go wild. So I just got him from Petco. I always wanted a corn snake like this. I saw it in Petco. Then I'm like, $50 is a deal. Let me buy that one. So
Somebody asked water monitors anytime soon, but I think you're completely out of monitors now, aren't you?
yeah, I got completely out of monitors, and it was mainly because I was traveling a lot for work. I had the space for it. I may get them again at one point, but where I was traveling a lot for work, I couldn't keep up with the maintenance. I wasn't set up. I didn't think it was fair to be feeding them, once a week, doing water changes. I needed to do water changes, and it just wasn't the right thing for the animal. So as much as I hated getting rid of them, I found really good homes for them, which was important. It took me about a year to actually find the right homes for them. Had all kinds of people who wanted them, but I just wasn't gonna do it.
Snakes are so much different because most snakes you can leave for a week or so and come back and things are all right, but
Yeah.
lizards are a lot more work.
Totally different, and just for some bigger demurral boas, these are some larger demurrals. They've been breeding. So this girl in the back, she gave me about 20 babies, 19 babies last year, 18 babies last year, and she's in with this male. A little bit different than the pairing last year. We'll see what they give us.
My friend has a monster female. I don't know how old she is. One of those snakes that looks old. She's got to be 25 plus years old, but she's huge.
They get old. That's the thing that kind of stinks.
Her face looks like, it's all blocked out. Her mouth doesn't sit right anymore.
Yep.
But she took her in as like an old animal like 15 years ago. And she's just, sits there and keeps eating and keeps doing her thing.
Everybody likes leopard boas.
That
These
looks
are
pretty
cool.
cool.
Little dwarf boas. Sonoran leopards. Isn't a full grown male.
Trying to make sure I can get close, but not too close.
Yeah, he's okay. Well, he's kind of an ass.
Yeah, he's looking.
But that's another one there. Cool little leopards.
Just looking for food more than anything, I think.
Yeah. I don't think he got a male yesterday. It was a little bit too big for him.
Some of mine take it really personal when they don't get fed and other stuff gets fed in the room.
Yeah.
You'll hear them pushing, getting mad. Let me see what else people have been saying. Phil said those are cool.
Yeah.
I'm not paying enough attention to that. Tell Jason we want to see some BCCs.
Okay. Peruvians. The Guyanas went back up to Kevin's at New England Reptiles, so Kevin has the Guyanas. There's some Peruvian male BCCs. So there's your BCCs.
I like that one in the middle a lot.
Yeah, he's awesome. So I kept all these back. That guy in the end, if he wasn't in shed,
Is he the one that's like really nice?
Yeah, he's
Of course.
super clean and.
I mean, I like that one anyways, but.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm trying to go with the Peruvians is just a super reduced, very clean pattern.
Mm-hmm.
He has it. He has the color of this one with the super clean pattern of that one. This one's pretty awesome looking too. They're all awesome. But what's cool about these guys is some of them he just ate, but some of them will get darker speckles. We can take a look at the parents that are. She may have actually just ovulated. Well, these aren't the parents of this one, but we have some breeding right now. And they are. They made a mess of their cage, even though I cleaned it the other day. But there's so this is and watch out because she will just shoot out. This is what I got crap for because it's an Akitos and a Pucallpa. Pucallpa father, Akitos mom, and she's gonna light me up if I keep hovering.
Yeah.
She's one. She grabbed me and that was probably one of the most painful bites I've had. They just got. I don't know what she did. She bit my hand, and I had this hematoma on my hand for like 2 weeks. Couldn't type. It was wild.
Yeah, Rob's female ocelot Borneo bit me, and it was the same thing. Like I've never had a bruise from a snake bite, and it was bruised for weeks, and I'm like, what the hell, man?
And I've been bit by much bigger snakes.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just how she got me.
Yeah, and this one didn't even hit me particularly hard. I mean, she wrapped me hard, but yeah, it was crazy. It was swollen forever. I was like, okay.
Yeah, yes, that was the same deal. I want to keep peeking because this one I know is going to give me babies soon.
Yeah, as soon as the video's over, she'll start dropping.
Dan's been watching me peek at that snake probably 4 times, 5 times since he got here.
You got to keep looking, Let me see what people
Yeah,
said.
what do we got?
Somebody asked if those were Pucallpas, were the ones that we looked at, the 3 across over there.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And this is actually the sister to it. We just looked at this one, but if she wasn't, she's kind of dark right now, but she's just awesome looking. That's kind of what I'm going for. And I had one other that was just ridiculous. Another female. Unfortunately, she didn't make it in the move, so.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
Pretty bummed about. And I actually had the adult that didn't make it in the move, which really sucked.
I remember that big female you had.
She was perfect. I had her for so long. I looked for a male, and the male was that male that I was looking for. So I still have a Peruvian project going, but I'm a couple of years away from making Pucallpas again.
Yeah.
From the babies that we had.
It sucks when you lose, especially that animal. It's a foundation to the whole project.
Yeah. And
Been there.
It's funny because I got that snake before people even cared about Peruvians. Nobody cared about Peruvians 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They kind of cared, but not like they did today. I paid $100 for her. Nobody wanted her. It was maybe it's longer than that, 10, 15 years ago, but nobody wanted her. Now Pacalpas are a couple $1,000.
That was like the Argentine. I had that 7+ foot Argentine and I couldn't give her away.
Yeah,
and now
$100.
people are paying like $1,000 for it. I'm like, damn, man, I should have sat on her a little longer.
Yeah, it's just crazy how the reptile market goes in trends, and you can almost see them happening. I know where the next year or two is going to go, and I know actually I shouldn't say that. I have no idea where the next year or two is going to go. All of a sudden, something will spark,
Somebody said something.
and it'll go back.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of cyclical too. It always comes back around eventually.
Yeah.
If Jason could only pull, hold on. If Jason could only pull out one snake, what would he show off? Anything that really blows his mind in the collection?
Yes, the first one that popped in my head was this one. It's not. I find it awesome.
You have to understand, Jason's a simple guy. He's like me. Like, we like simple things. We like what we like.
Well, this one.
It's not always about that. Is awesome though.
This one is. I don't know. This one just pops in my head. This is probably one of the favorite ones that I made, and I don't know what it is. I know it has blood in it. I think it has T positive. I think it's a super hypo. I think it's a super hypo T positive blood. So super hypo phoenix. But I don't know because I bred this same pairing maybe 5 or 6 times and I've never got bloods. Now all of a sudden I have bloods. Somebody made a really good comment. Is it possibly parthogenic? And it isn't because there's males and females in the litter. So it couldn't be parthogenic. But yeah, a couple of them popped out. It's funny because these are litter mates. This one loves food and this one hates it.
Yeah,
So you see the size difference between just one that eats consistently and regularly and one that doesn't, which is kind of interesting and unique. But these both popped out.
Dave said that's pretty incredible for a simple guy.
No. Well, and again, there's the other one another one that popped out. But if I could say my favorite, that one's like the new, the one that gets me excited. Man, that's a hard question. Like if you said I could only, that one might be it. That one's definitely my new favorite. If normally I would have told you my Pacalpa girl, but she didn't make the move.
Can I please see Jason's BCA?
I don't have it. Kevin has it. I sent it up to Kevin at Nerd.
Also, who would win an arm wrestling match between you two? Definitely Jason.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dan right
Jason's seen a gym before. I never have.
Man, this girl might be pretty up there. Dan, I know you liked her, but
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
she may be pretty up there. She's definitely one of my favorites.
This might be one of my favorite boas I've ever seen, period.
Yeah,
I think she's so cool, and she doesn't show up that well on this video.
I have
which
a video.
Sucks.
Be a little bit more light.
Yeah.
I have a video I'm going to put out in the next week or two that's going to be my favorite boas, and I pull through a couple of or maybe it's my favorite boas from 2020, and I pull out a whole bunch of babies that I was pretty happy I produced. But yeah, she's pretty up there. I got her at a reptile show, and I don't know. I don't have. I showed you that crazy one, but I made that one. I don't have a lot of. I shouldn't say that. If a normal person came in, they'd be like, "Well, your collection's crazy." But as far as I'm concerned, I still like albinos. I mean, like this boa is awesome, and they're just a normal, simple albino boa is awesome to me.
Yeah.
It's
That's what I have. Is just an albino, and she's great looking. You know.
Yeah. So I guess now that I'm looking around, I have a lot more cool stuff than I think. In terms of morphs and stuff, but I just...
Somebody asked if you had any super fires.
I don't. No, I had one, and it just never thrived. It died, which is a hard hit because I paid about 10 grand for it.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
It just... And I knew as soon as I got it, I'm like, this snake, I was pretty mad that I bought it because the breeder sent it to me. I could tell it never had a male in it. It was just a tiny, tiny little newborn boa. It is what it is. I can't complain about it. I can't tell them, like, hey, dude, you sent me a sick snake or a baby snake, but I knew as soon as I got it, it wasn't going to thrive. And it never did. It just consistently declined. It ate a couple meals here and there. It ended up getting like a swollen gallbladder type of thing. And it never thrived. It just ended up dying on me, which was pretty crappy.
Yeah, I've always struggled.
Yeah,
I've always struggled to pull the trigger on stuff like that because I know, some stuff you raise for 3-4 years and all of a sudden it'll just gone. Especially boas. I've heard a lot of things when they hit sexual maturity. Sometimes you can see issues. I don't know if you've ever had any issues with that kind of stuff. I haven't kept them enough to know, but I've heard that over the years that, once they start cycling, sometimes they can have issues that, you never knew were there.
No, sometimes. I think that there's underlying issues with some of the boas that boas are really good at hiding things until you breed them, and then the stress brings out different types of, whether it be arenavirus or whatever it is. So, which is a whole different topic that I'm not educated or well versed enough in, but I am going to try to do. Maybe you can actually pull into on this as well. A talk with Chad Little, who don't go Googling him. He doesn't want people to message him like crazy. We had this conversation, but I just said that everybody's going to start.
Yeah, it's already happening. They're all leaving.
I'm going to have him come on, and we're going to talk about the different types of testing available. And really, I think the key is the test is never meant to, like, as a standard, let's test everything in everybody's collection. It was never meant that way. It was, hey, there's something weird happening with my snake. Maybe I should test
So
it.
here's a good question that we talked about earlier to some extent. Somebody asked if you have issues seeing the urates and shit for cleanup in the cocoa blocks.
Yes. And we were, I made a video about what I think about cocoa blocks. Dan and I were talking, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the best substrate I've found to date. It's still not what I'm looking for. It's what will happen, and I'm trying to find that cage that was dirty, because there's always going to be something that was dirty.
I'm trying to remember where it was.
You know?
It was over.
She's going to have something that's dirty. So this might be a good example over here.
I think we were in here earlier, weren't we? No, maybe
That's a
not.
Pearl Island, if anybody. I know people like Pearl Island boas.
There's another piece back there, but I don't know her well enough to reach in there and grab it.
She's going to go wild. I just moved all my barrels out of the way, so we'll get that later. There's a Pearl Island boa. But yes, it'll go through, and then you have to use a scraper to get it off the bottom of the cage. So that's the downside. The plus of it is that it holds humidity really well. I mean, it's humid down here.
Yeah.
At least I think so. I'm sweating.
Yeah, I'm fat. I sweat everywhere. That's why I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, even though it's 40 degrees outside.
So it holds humidity really well, but I do find that the urates go through, and I need to use a scraper, which I just get a putty knife and I'll scrape it off the bottom.
Yeah, we had a conversation earlier before the video about how, like, we've all tried so many different things and there is no perfect solution.
Yeah.
Everything has its pluses and minuses, from paper to every brand of substrate we've ever tried.
It's the best stuff I've tried so far. And I expanded the brick because I wanted Dan's opinion on Reptile. I had a couple of people who were like, oh, you're bashing Reptile. And I'm like, no, believe me, I like Reptile. I thought it was actually pretty good. My problem with it is it took too long to expand. And Dan said it was kind of like, I think you said one did and a couple times.
Yeah, so I've gotten a couple batches that were great, and then I got a batch recently that I was not impressed with, where it felt like the quality was totally different to me, where it was much more like, I don't know what the word is, but it just wasn't as solid. Like, it was almost like dirt in half of it, and it made a huge mess, and the snakes seemed to be pushing it all over the place.
So I think it all comes from the same place, and I found the same issue with the cocoa blocks. Is I got 3 pallets. The first pallet was great. The second pallet, everything was too chunky. It had no fines. This pallet now is really good. I wish they could make one that was like a blend of Pro Cocoa, Reptile, and the cocoa blocks.
Yeah.
Because I think it would make a really nice, perfectly graded cocoa substrate, which still wouldn't be perfect.
Yeah, no, there's no winning.
You can make an aspen bedding out of Cypress. Maybe that's out there, but I'm not paying for whatever they're asking.
I can't even imagine what that would cost.
Yes, like an aspen bedding size type of. I like aspen because when they go to the bathroom, it almost clumps like a kitty litter, but it also molds, and the humidity just kills it. For me, at least.
Do sun glows hold their colors? Now, I'm going to imagine it's going to vary by lineage to some extent.
Yeah, a good one does. I mean, I don't know. Does that hold its color?
Looks good to me. And
I
of course,
think
it's
so.
not showing up half of as nice as it is. You can't see those pinks, really.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
a
annoying.
good one will. A poor quality, everybody. If you want to be cheap, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, a cheap sun glow is usually a cheap sun glow.
Yeah. You definitely, that's where lineage comes in, you know?
This girl just laid some babies for us.
So Curtis asked a question that I don't know if either of us are going to know the answer to. He wants to know how long we've been friends, and I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't remember when we first met.
Yeah, neither do I.
Jason,
I guess that long?
Yeah. Jason was definitely the one that pushed me to start the YouTube thing. You know, he told me a lot about it, and he was enjoying it at that time. So that was a year and a half ago then.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been years before that.
So that's also a sun glow, and she just laid some really cool babies. I think she's a sun glow jungle. She may have other stuff.
It's funny because she's not that big now. Is that just
She's just
locality?
totally deflated.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
She just has no
Nothing, no substance at this point.
yeah,
Everything's
she's ready for a meal. I mean, like this is a jungle Motley. I mean,
oh, that's really nice.
I mean, if you get a good one,
Don't you
yes.
pop off on me.
No, he's okay. If you get a good one, yes, they'll hold their color. Is I guess the short answer.
Trying to get different angles because the lighting, everything changes as you change the angles.
Yeah, and I mean
That's a really nice animal.
these are some babies. Like these baby, well, not the white ones obviously, but I mean like this one is gonna hold a really good amount of color. It looks great as a baby, but this is also a coral albino.
Now, how old are these ones again? These ones are.
These were
fairly-
born yesterday,
Oh, okay, so really young.
so you can still smell the dying dying parts of them. But yeah, I mean like this is. Oh no, what's he doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're looking kind of weak, but he's not. He's acting like he's gonna die. Even when I pick him up, he's pretty limp. So these
That
guys,
stinks.
yeah,
It's part of the whole thing, though. Unfortunately, not everything's meant to thrive, which sucks, but
yep.
it's the way it goes.
So, but that was the mom who made these, and they're clearly, super awesome looking boas. There's the moon glow here.
Hopefully he gets it figured out, but doesn't
Yeah.
look too promising.
No, there's all these dinky ones, but that's the problem. Like this girl here, she's been messed up from a baby. She looks normal, but if you touch her, she's got zero coordination.
Oh yeah.
She goes all wild. But she's also got a cleft palate, and she's got all kinds of messed up shit. So I don't want to sell her. Like I thought about just selling her as a pet quality, but
It gets so tough because you can't trust anybody. Everybody wants to breed everything. It's hard to find people that you trust with that stuff.
that's it. So she'll thrive. She eats great, but she can't strike. She's all screwed up. She's been
Yeah.
like that since she was a baby. It's
Somebody asked if you, and I know you have some Kraken stuff, but they asked about Kraken and Super Kraken.
yeah.
But
Oh.
you,
So this is the mom who I know she ate yesterday, but and there's a rat in her water bowl. So don't get the rat. That's what I've been smelling the whole time. But that's a Kraken mom. Does that smell tasty in there?
it does. I'm used to it though because I have a few short tails that love to do that from time to time. Listen, don't be coming at me like that.
Yeah, she's all fired up because she just laid babies a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But I'll show you her babies. I give her some new water, and you can take a look at her babies over here.
Somebody was asking you basically how you use all the clips, tape, and all that stuff, what it all means on your tubs.
So those are her babies in there. I'll get to that question in a second.
Yep. Look at them, they're so small. See all those little heads together right there?
Actually, no, I'm sorry. Pull out the top next to it. That's her babies.
To the left or the right?
To the left.
Okay, so that's a lie. Hang on. These ones here.
So those were, I put her with the fire, and Kraken it does very similar things to fire. They haven't shed out yet, so it's kind of hard to see them, but this one could be Kraken. You see these extended side medallions here, the connections. That's also, hypo.
These ones.
Same thing with this one. Well, that one may not be. This one, there's a fire in here that looks like a fire, Kraken. So this is a fire, but it also has really, really strong side medallion. See that stripe that goes down connection between those two? So that, I think, is a Kraken fire. I don't know if that helps or answers the question at all, but I think a lot of people don't know what Kraken is, including myself.
Yeah.
Which is why I personally label things possible and probable. So this girl is probably a good example of it because,
There's her head now.
yeah, head's over there. This is probably a hypo Kraken because she has those connected side medallions, super squeezed, if not vanishing type of medallions over here. These guys up there.
I'm watching her. I got it zoomed in so I don't have to get as close.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure she doesn't bite my hand behind.
Yeah.
She can't reach you, but so this is what I think is a Kraken. I don't know. I've made supers before, not from her, from others. So I would like to get a bunch of people on the phone, and I know others have tried to do it. The problem is you ask 4 different breeders what a Kraken is, and you're gonna get 4 different answers.
Yeah.
So I wish somebody would we could all just figure it out. I wish somebody like Jason would take his super that he bred to a normal and not dissect the babies, but look through the babies and figure out what is and what isn't. Because right now I think the issue is there's more of them out there than people want to admit. Because for years these things were being sold before somebody realized this was something genetic. And if they show you all the telltale traits, people will look through and say, oh, this might be Kraken 2, put 2 and 2 together and realize that it's Kraken.
Oof. So we'll get to that question in a minute, which is scary, but yeah, but, so how do you use the tags, the tape and all that? I mean, I know, but just so people know.
The tags are just what they are, you know, green. This is just my little system. Pink is female, green is male. And then the tape, I wish I could tell you I had a better system. The tape, I just write down miscellaneous, you know, what I did. So for breeding, this one might be a decent one. So on 8/22, I put a fire in with her. On 10/23, she ovulated. That was a potential ovulation. 11/18 was a potential ovulation. So anytime I see a swell that it could be it, I mark it as a question mark. But then as you see here, this one has the exclamation point. So that was 100% an ovulation, or I think she actually ovulated somewhere in this time period. So I think 11/18 might have been the ovulation. A lot of the times you'll see I don't even mark this down, but if I see it, I write it. This is what's really important, the shed. So really, she probably ovulated somewhere in between 11/18 and 12/1. And then this is what she laid. She laid 10 live, 5 slugs, 2 stillborns, and that's the date she laid it in. This one is just tracking follicle growth. You know, on 8/22 they were 20 millimeters. And I said, okay, it's time to put her in with a male. But no, it's just miscellaneous notes. You'll see different stuff written on anything.
Yeah, we went over some earlier.
Yeah, and they're not consistent. They're just whatever I feel like writing down at that point in time. Every tag is going to say something completely different that's unique to that specific snake.
Okay, so then this other question was any particular way you introduce males? I had a female break a male Dumeral's back last year that had to be put down. So that was the ooh comment because that's rough.
No, I just put them together.
Yeah.
I do know that, and I said this I think in my Burm video, that Dumerals they're weird. If they're not ready, they're gonna fight and bite each other. So if you introduced a male then the female wasn't ready, they're gonna fight. Just like Burms, if you introduce 2 male Burms, they're gonna fight, and in the wild, one would win, the other one would scatter off. In a cage, they're just gonna keep battling each other. So
yeah.
No, for Boas, normally I don't. I mean, I have a couple paired here.
That's like short-tails. Short-tails seem to get along so well overall that they really don't. If they don't get along, they just go to opposite sides of the cage typically, and that's the worst I see.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, this female is not receptive. I'm actually going to check and see if she has follicles, but he would normally be trying to breed her, but right now she's just not receptive.
Somebody was asking about hypo stuff.
So, well, here's a hypo Roswell ladder tail. Yeah, so she has follicles. They're probably still a little bit too small. So normally with boa constrictors, if the female's not ready, nothing's going to happen. They're just going to be sitting on opposite sides. Now, that could be because the male isn't ready to breed, but he's doing something funky with his tail. So
Yeah, I see that.
I'm thinking she is ready, but either he is not, I don't want to say man enough, he's not man enough to go at it, or take the chance, or he's tried and she hasn't been receptive, but she definitely has follicles. They're bigger than 20 millimeters because I can feel them, and she'll go breeding at some point.
Somebody said Vin told him at one point he had Dumerals females eat the males one season.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, unless he's putting a tiny little male in with a big female. I don't know. I'll keep my thoughts to myself on,
Yeah.
on that.
It's, I mean,
can see
I know
that,
I
though.
know it's happened with a lot of species. And even species that aren't necessarily naturally cannibalistic, when you put them in a small space together, things can happen that wouldn't normally
Yeah.
happen in the wild. Normally, if something was an issue, like you said, they move away from each other and it's over. But
Yep.
when you can't get away, it changes the dynamic.
Yeah. I've seen. I mean, babies. I guess I've never really had any issues. The biggest thing is you need to understand your snakes. Too many people just try to put snakes together and think it's going to happen, but maybe if you get lucky. So it took me maybe 10 to 15 years to understand what's actually happening and be consistent with it. Anybody can go buy two snakes, put them together, and maybe have babies. But it took a long time to understand what you're actually seeing,
Yeah.
what you're feeling, and actually know when it's the right
People
time.
people always want that information too. And a lot of it is just hard to explain. It's just knowing your animals, spending time with them. It's always subtle little things. There's never like, these big changes. It's just subtle things in their behavior. Like I was talking to you earlier, I'll notice they just hit food a little bit harder when the females are building those follicles, and I'll notice, maybe they bull wrap a little bit more, and maybe they're on one side of the cage where they're not normally as often.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just get grumpier. You'll go in to handle a snake that's usually really laid back, and you get a lot more, defensive behavior, and sometimes it's that.
And it's really knowing your animals. And I always say, like, because I think about, should I just hire somebody to help and come clean all this stuff? But there's essential things I'm picking up on every time I open a cage, whether it be, they're going to the bathroom and I'm cleaning that up. What does that look like? How are they acting when I'm opening it up? Are they in shed? How often are they shedding? What time of the year it is, checking the temperatures. There's all these little things
Yeah.
that it's not complicated. It's not hard. It's
No.
I mean, super simple. You're breeding animals, but it's knowing what to do, when to do it, that takes the time. And it's crazy because there's so much bad information. Stop with the Facebook. Stop getting your information from Facebook.
Yeah.
Stop getting it from 90% of YouTube. Stop getting it from me. Get it from a whole bunch of different people. I made so many mistakes that
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach people on those mistakes.
I know
They don't wanna
that's
listen.
the most frustrating thing when you try to tell somebody not to do something. Like, well, you did it, and it's like, that's why I'm telling you not to do it, because I know where this goes.
Or they'll argue with you. You're
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
It's like, listen, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. Do whatever you want. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you listen to me. It's if you want to, great. But I just try to make it so you guys can be successful. And
So this person was asking if we think that Vin's food cycling could have affected why the females ate. I food cycled my olives this year, so I know olives are not doom rolls, but olives are known to cannibalize each other. So I had my female off of food for weeks before the male was in with her. So what I always do when I pair my olives, and I've done videos on this, is I pull her out of the cage, I clean the cage, and I introduce the two of them in there together. So she's not established in her space. I also don't feed other snakes in the room while they're paired up. So if I have to feed other stuff, I pull the male out and then I feed, just so that she's never getting into that state of mind where she smells food. Now they're supposed to, after the food cycling, not want food once you get to a certain point. My female has never ever not wanted food ever.
Yeah.
Even dropping her to 60 degrees, she wanted to eat. So there was no, I didn't notice that. And I saw like the K brothers in Australia, they get their females off of food. I've seen it with Scott with his Malukan scrubs, where he gets them not looking for food necessarily for a while. But not every single snake plays by the rules. They're all individuals. So some just don't care how much you cycle, they want food. So I could definitely see where, if she's hungry and she hasn't shut off completely, she might be more apt to sneak a meal when she wants to.
I think what probably happened in his case, and I haven't heard it, I haven't seen it firsthand, but I think what probably happened is he was feeding snakes, or he was feeding them in the same cage, which I'll do. I'll be honest, I'll do it. A lot of the times what I'll do is, before I'm feeding, I'll separate the two, because I've been feeding, like you said, I've been feeding stuff in a room, and I've had two snakes, like those Humorous boas that are paired, and all of a sudden I'll hear rustling in the cage, because I haven't even gone over
Yeah,
to
they're
feed
just
them yet.
impatient and they want to,
They smell it, they see movement, and they go after each other, and they wrap each other. That's probably what happened, is he was feeding. So a lot of the times before I start doing that, I'll separate them, and I'll separate the two males, I'll separate everything, or I'll feed them, and then I'll separate them, and I'll let them eat, and then I'll put them back together. But no, I think that's probably more what happened. I don't think it had anything to do with the cycling. Maybe it did. Maybe they were extra hungry and they smelled the rodents. But I don't know. I don't cycle anything. I think that the way that I look at breeding and keeping in general is there is nothing natural about what we're doing here. Nature is gone. These are captive bred animals that have never been in the wild. So wild animals, wild caught populations, maybe I'm on board with that. But this is captive bred populations. Use our eyes. Stop going on the, oh, it's 3 weeks, time to feed again. Oh, it's 6 weeks, time to feed again. I don't think any animal should go, at least any snake, should go more than 3 to 4 weeks without a food. Especially if you're going.
Sorry, guys.
No,
No, it's my hand went in front of me.
yeah, if you're going that long without food, that either means that one, you're underfeeding, or two, you're feeding such a massive meal that is putting an incredible amount of stress on the animal that it can go that long. So even though that could happen in the wild, in an ideal situation, my feeling is it wouldn't normally happen. And if we knew that we were only going to eat once this week, and we could eat whatever we wanted, we're going to stuff ourselves so full. But wouldn't it make more sense to say, all right, I could either eat once this week, or I could eat every other day, or I could eat balanced meals every day? It's, to me, the balanced meals every day are going to work way better than trying to gorge on a couple meals because I know I'm going to starve.
See, what I try to do is just gorge at every meal, and that's the problem.
I'm with you. Like,
I have no control.
but I feel like the same thing with snakes is as long as you're feeding a balanced meal, looking at them just like people. You look in the mirror, it's like, hey, I'm getting heavy. I'm eating too much. Hey, I'm losing everything I have. I'm not eating enough.
Yeah.
Look at your snakes.
I think people get too hung up on the calendar, and they want to feed by the calendar instead of feeding by what their animal needs.
I mean, everybody asks
agree.
me, what's my feeding day? I don't have it whenever
No,
I feel like it.
yeah.
It's I'd like to say on average about every week I feed. Babies, it's usually more consistent because I have to. But I mean, there's snakes in there that haven't eaten in a couple weeks. There's snakes that probably ate, 3 meals over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Just because
I have the
it happened to be there
same
and look
way.
at them.
That's the hard thing about, like, now that I have a couple colubrids here and there and stuff. I have to remember, like, they have to eat so much more often. Whereas my bloods or short tails, I could not feed them for a month. It's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But if I did that to a colubrid, like, that's a massive problem for them unless they're brumating. They need their metabolism so much different.
Yes.
And individual animals have different metabolisms. People want a blanket for a whole species, and it just doesn't work. I have animals that are very active. I have ones that don't move of the same species. And the ones that are more active, of course, are burning more calories, need more fuel. The ones that just sit around and do nothing need almost nothing.
Yes.
And then if you're giving a female the year off, you might feed her different than a year you're going to pair her up,
Yep.
You kind of keep her at that pet weight as opposed to that little bit extra that we do before they're going to put everything into their body.
So in terms of feeding cycles, I'd say in that sense I do. I don't do Vin's feeding cycle because I don't think any animal should go off food that amount of time unless it's nature that's forcing them to do that. But, like this girl, she didn't breed this year, but she's heavy because I was planning for her to breed, but she never bred. She never took. So I may pull back her food. I may feed her every month or so, or I may feed her every 3 weeks to 4 weeks, but a smaller meal. So she might be getting medium rats as opposed to large rats.
Somebody said, does every conversation have to be about snakes, or can we talk about the bullshit daylight savings time? We started out the video talking about the daylight savings time. You might have just missed that part.
Yeah.
But we did discuss that earlier on.
Totally messed
See, it didn't bother me at all, but I just went to bed earlier than usual last night and woke up natural today, so
natural.
wasn't a big
It's
deal.
all natural, baby.
Well, I got lucky, man. My phone has started.
Coffee.
Yeah, my phone has started to do that thing where the charger's not staying in perfectly. So I woke up for work the other day. I woke up like half an hour late for what I like to get up, but fortunately my natural cycle got me up in time because we would have been screwed if I was late for work since I'm doing everything right now. But yeah, I was very happy. I woke up at like 6:15, so I had enough time to jump in the shower and make it on time.
She doesn't like people either.
I can see.
Yeah, she gets all pissed off.
It's funny, like I don't read Boa body language as well, but some of them are very obvious. Like she's very obviously not interested in me having a life right now.
Yes.
I just moved, you can see her turn her attention this way.
So she's got a big male in her, and so for instance, she has a very large male for her. You can see that. Well, maybe you can't, but let me get a hook so I can point it out.
It also never shows up as well. I notice like ovulation pictures, they always look smaller than they actually are. It's weird how that doesn't show well.
So you can kind of see the extended scales right here. She's got a big male in her. Because I'm feeding larger items, I'll probably pull back on my feeding. Ideally, she would get like a medium rat, but I can't get medium rats for a decent price right now. So she's taken a larger male than I really want to feed her on. But it's just, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
We were having the feeder discussion earlier and how much it's changed in the past few years.
Yeah, if anybody in the Massachusetts, or I should say, if anybody in the Connecticut area has large rats, this is a plug for me, large rats that aren't crazy priced, let me know. I'll literally buy everything you have. If that's thousands of them, I'll buy freezers to buy your thousands. Just give me a good price, because I can't find them for a good price right now. So that's going to just make more expensive babies for you guys. So it's this incentive everybody should be on top of, trying to find cheap feeders.
Yeah.
To get cheap snakes.
Mediums and larges are just ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
And even the small stuff has gotten ridiculous. Fuzzies, pups, it's all gotten nuts.
Yeah, definitely has. It's
And that's actually been the hardest thing for me to find consistently. I used to breed that stuff myself. That way I always had it, but I haven't been breeding rodents the past couple of years because it's more work than the snakes.
yeah. I'm definitely not going to start breeding rodents anytime
Oh,
soon.
it's terrible.
Yeah. What do we got?
Sorry, I missed almost an hour, Sam said. That was a super chat. Another super chat. We're gonna make sure Jason has his turned on when he goes live and stuff.
Yeah.
He was watching a video the other day and saw somebody getting like $100 super chats and all this stuff.
Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, what's rat pricing like here? It varies, but right now to get a medium rat, you're typically paying like at minimum $2.50 and upwards of $4 at some places.
That's for bulk. That's like
Yeah.
100 at a time.
Yeah.
That's not one or two.
Whereas 4 years ago, those were $1 a piece if you were buying enough and were easy to come by.
Small rats, 90 cents.
Yeah.
Now they're like $2.25.
Yep, it's gotten
Yeah.
out of control. And like I said, that's bulk. If you go to a pet store, you're paying like $8, $9, $10 for these things if you can find them. A lot of the pet stores won't even sell feeders anymore, or
Yep.
they won't sell live rodents at certain places. So it's just gotten hard in general.
And from what I found is usually like a rodent pro will set the bar for pricing.
Yeah.
So if rodent pro prices go up, all the local people go up. But there's still a couple really good local dudes who don't raise their prices.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm not spending any more money. I'm not going to follow the market because it's going there, which I 100% respect.
I do
If
too.
somebody is following rodent pro prices just because that's where it's going, I get it. I'm not going to blame you, because if an albino boa was selling for 200 and now it's selling for 800, I don't want to be the guy selling it for 200 still, because everybody's going to be blaming me.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I feel like with the rodents, to go from, to double the price since March is a little crazy. I mean, I get it from a business standpoint. It's
Ooh.
great.
a jumbo rat where somebody is $12.
Wow.
See, the funny thing is, I can get jumbos cheaper than I can get mediums.
Yes.
Because so few people buy them. But nutritionally speaking, jumbos, typically are older rats. They're higher fat content. You're running a increased risk of fatty liver disease if that's your staple.
Yep.
So unless it's an animal with a super high metabolism, I don't like to do that. And most of what I keep has low metabolisms. Boas, I know, are in the lower
Yeah.
echelon of metabolism. So you like to feed them leaner meals.
I mean, like, that's way too big of a meal for her.
Yeah.
Or for him.
Yeah, that one you can even tell. That one you can see in the video
Yep.
how big it is.
Way too big of a male. It didn't look that big when I put it in there. But what
Yeah.
happens, the
they-
problem is that it expands.
Yeah, especially when it's a larger meal. It takes them longer, and the longer they're digesting, the bigger it gets.
Yeah. The issue with feeding large males to boas, or to any...
Have a good one, Curtis.
Was that?
Somebody was just saying they're leaving.
Yeah, is that they'll kind of expand as they digest, and then they can throw it up. So I know some of these snakes, if I feed it a large male like that, it's going to throw it up. Like this girl here that just laid babies for me. She's super skinny. She needs a male, but I don't really have anything. She's so skinny. I need to give her something, but I don't have anything of the right size right now. And I can't really... She wants food. I might just start giving her a whole bunch of
Yeah,
of
maybe.
small rats.
Maybe Joe will have something today too, and pop over there.
Yeah.
Sometimes he has some stuff in the freezer. I usually buy it all, but
So that's what I'm trying to find, is some just consistent feeders, and I cycle through 4 or 5 different people to get that.
Yeah.
But basically, and it makes sense, is that the reason why mediums and larges are more money to some people have abundance of them, but is by the time they get to medium and large, they're like prime breeders. So they don't
Yeah.
really want to feed them off. They want to raise them. They want to get litters from them, and
Yeah.
then by that time they're extra large and jumbo.
plus a lot of the people that are breeding feeders are keeping ball pythons and things, and so they're feeding those to their snakes, and
A lot of
that's
ball pythons out there right now.
yeah. I mean that's really what's driven the price up is the amount of ball pythons that are floating around. Is he doing something?
He's trying. He's got the wrong.
He's
end right
in the
now.
totally wrong spot.
Yeah, poor guy.
I was gonna say he was spurring her earlier.
Yeah, he's going at it. He'll get there eventually.
Rodent Pro sometimes got good sized quail. Yeah, I was actually telling Jason earlier I bought a bunch of quail when they were on sale from them. And short tails tend to love birds. I have one that won't eat birds, which like blows my mind because usually they're a lot of snakes love birds. You can just see a different food reaction from them. I don't know.
Two chicken drumsticks.
Yeah. Which, in a pinch, it's something, but you want to feed whole prey items when you can, people.
Yeah, I'm not going to feed Purdue chicken drumsticks.
Did you? I don't know if you ever saw the thing. There was a guy in the Blood Pythons group that was feeding like ground up hamburger to his bloods. And his argument for it was like, oh, when you're working out and you want to get big really fast, you're eating all this protein. I'm like, but we are not snakes. Like we have different needs.
Yes.
We don't need the whole prey item like they do,
Yeah, just eat hamburger.
Yeah. So, and of course, why are you trying to get your snake big fast anyways? Like, that's not what you should be doing.
Yeah.
If you feed these snakes right, they will grow,
I've seen a lot of people lately feeding chicken drumsticks.
Yeah.
Which I'm not for it. I think
No.
one of the worst things was, it was about a year ago, somebody showed me a video of Jay from Prehistoric Pets force feeding like this 10-foot boa constrictor who was underweight, like 15 chicken drumsticks. I'm like, what the hell is this dude doing? One, he's saying this thing's underweight, we need to get a male into it. But two, like, why are you feeding chicken drumsticks?
Not only that, but like
Purdue.
underweight snakes are usually underweight for a reason. Something's going on,
Yes.
and putting a bunch of food in them at once is not usually a good idea.
That's a great way to make them throw up.
Yeah. And then I was gonna say now their body can't handle that cycle that a normal snake might regurge and bounce back in a couple weeks and be good.
Yep.
And that's why when my snakes, like my females, they'll go off feed for maybe 5 or 6 weeks or whatever through the process of egg laying. When they come back, I always feed them like a medium rat first, even though they can take a jumbo. I just want to get something in their system that's easy to digest, gets their metabolism going again. And then by their second or third meal, I'll start going to a normal meal size.
I just cleaned these cages yesterday. It's already a mess. It's incredible.
Oh, it's
incredible.
There's no
I need a
saltwatch eyes coming.
Yeah, she's okay. But
There's no salvation for us.
no.
The worst is when you're cleaning like a rack and you start top to bottom, and as you're at the bottom, you're watching the snake in the top take a shit, and you're like, come on, like,
you
can't I have like 1 hour of peace where it's just all clean?
You hear the gurgling of
Yeah.
like the gurgling.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
bubbling.
Yeah.
It's like snakes do fart.
Especially the baby racks. With the baby rack, like all of a sudden you're watching them flip water and all this. You're like, listen, you piece of shit. Like,
Yup.
I just want to get through all of you and say it's done. And once I leave the room, you can do whatever you want. But yeah, they have no chill. They don't care.
Yeah, it's absolutely it.
Hi, Amanda. $5 to $6 for a medium rat up in Ontario. I'm glad I don't live up there. But that's fake money anyways. That's Canadian money. It's not real.
That's a funny money.
Yeah.
It's like what's that? Like $3 American?
Yeah, something like that.
Getting close to there. It's not there yet.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
crazy
cool.
though.
I work a lot with Canadian up in Canada, and problem we have is that U.S. dollar conversion because they still need to pay U.S. rates. So for us to be competitive, it's crazy.
How do you feel about what is that? Oops, hold on. Every time I try to keep a comment up, it tries to get me to delete it. How do you feel about the scoria? Been contemplating if you pull the trigger or not on one? I don't know what the scoria is. Is that a boa thing?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
an awesome looking boa, badass looking snake. I like them. I think that they're starting to have less wobble. So scoria is almost like
Like a jag or spider or something like that?
yeah, I'm trying to.
Or like a
hard to
super
describe
golden
it,
child?
But they have like this wobble to them, and there's various degrees of wobble. I don't know enough about it to be honest. I know I've seen them. I know like Kevin from Nerd has one. He's been raising up. It's awesome looking. I'll probably buy one in the future. I just have to see the right time. I think that for me the price is a little bit too high, knowing how many are out there. And I think that the prices are going to start to drop pretty quickly. So, at least in the next year, I think a lot of people now have adults that they're going to breed. So, I may grab one this year. I can't bring myself.
I just realized, it's talking about sound editing. Somebody said they can barely hear you.
Oh,
You're better off now.
you might have your finger on the mic.
Oh, I might. I don't even know where it
I
is.
don't know where it is either.
We are really tech stupid.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad thing that you can't hear me. 'Cause you know what's crazy though? It's killing me. Like I see poop, I want to go clean it.
Yeah,
So you guys, I don't know. You go dig through some snakes. I want to go.
I
Clean
will. We'll look at some stuff. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what we might not have seen yet. So somebody asked about feeding their blood python and should they do 2 smaller items. It's funny. You'll see all the know-it-alls in the Facebook group that are like, you should never be feeding multiple items. But there's nothing wrong with feeding 2 items if they're a little bit smaller than a normal meal. You're not going to hurt anything like that. You know, I watch, I have a rat snake outside that'll go and eat the entire nest of bird eggs and the mother. Like, you know, it's a huge meal for that snake, but they do it. And, you know, I don't like to ever stuff them too large, but I don't think doing 2 smaller meals is a terrible idea. Like when I'm trying to convert a snake to frozen thawed. Oh, you were right there. That one's waiting for me. We'll do something else here. Let's see.
If you see poop, let me know.
That's a nice looking one. Oh, I saw a snake about ready to grab me.
Who's that one?
The one below.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
She was waiting right there.
This girl messed her mouth up so bad. She rubbed the hell out of it.
But yeah, so when I'm trying to convert a snake to frozen thawed that's giving me trouble, a lot of times I'll give it a smaller live meal. And then while it's still in that zone of eating, I'll go in and offer a slightly smaller frozen thawed meal too. And a lot of times you'll trigger a response that way because the animal's so into food mode that it just takes whatever. It doesn't even care. You know, usually that's the tough part about getting an animal to switch to frozen thawed is just understanding that it's time to eat and this is a prey item. But once you already have the animal in that zone, sometimes it's a lot easier to convert it. So that is something that I'll do quite often. Oh, Jason, is that one sitting on eggs?
Put a little chicken egg under there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I do that with frozen thawed to convert sometimes with ones that are being more stubborn. And it does help because you're just capitalizing on that animal's food mode. And I did videos on converting to frozen thawed, but I don't know if I mentioned that or not in that video. But yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people that's going to tell you can't feed multiple items as long as it's appropriate size. Jason's too far away. Your volume is loud and he's really low. Yeah, I talk louder than Jason does to begin with, so that's probably part of the problem. Jason's soft-spoken, you know.
Soft-spoken and quiet.
He's a nice guy.
Nice fella.
I just love this snake. I know I shut her off earlier. I'm splashing myself with her water, but she's so cool.
Oh yeah, she's good. She's awesome.
Let's fucking go. Where are we going?
Yeah, where we going?
You taking us on a trip?
I'm ready.
Poop patrol. Like, get out of my fucking cage, guy. It's like, I already got food. I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, you already bothered me yesterday.
I was going to say, that one kicked back on you.
Oh yeah. It's all right.
But yeah, so sorry about the volume, guys. You just have to turn it up really, really loud and somehow mute me.
She's pretty cool looking. She, again, ate something that's way too big, but she's got one eye. She's going to be my pet. Little one eye.
Now, do you find, I had a one-eyed one at one point, and I found like it would look at me with the side that had no eye, and it was really creepy. Does that one do that at all?
Not that I've noticed.
This one would literally turn to that side and like stare up like it was, look, there's no eye there. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, not that I've noticed, but she's always been an awesome eater. Like, even from a baby, she slammed.
Yeah, that one was the same.
She just slammed frozen food right from the start and grew super quick. So she's 2018. So she's 3 years old. I'll never breed her, but I just thought she was cool. And then same thing with like I think earlier video I showed the VPI one that was all screwy, and she's got the cleft palate. I don't know if she's even gonna make it. She eats great. I'm just curious if she's gonna even live. I mean, she's got a lot of like neurological issues, and she's been like that. I think it's a result of like, she's got some kind of a head deformity, so there's something wrong with her brain clearly.
Could probably be said for me too.
Yeah, me as well. So I can't blame her. So I always have a soft spot for animals like those.
I do too. Like you always see people, oh, you got to put that down. You got to put that down. My feeling is if it eats on its own and it wants to survive,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it that opportunity. If I think it's in pain every day or something, that might be different. And I won't like sit there and force feed an animal that's all fucked up. But if it's eating on its own, I had a male with a kinked neck this year, a male or female, I don't remember.
Yep.
And that thing hatched on its own. It's eating on its own. It's eating frozen thawed on its own. So who am I to say I should kill the thing? You know, obviously it has the will to live, so I'm with you. Do your thing.
As long as I'm not going to be breeding it and getting messed up genetics from it, like I would never want to breed that snake and then sell it to customers, sell those babies to a customer. I mean,
Yeah.
if they were fine, but I just wouldn't want to do that. Why would I breed a snake that it's just too much stress? It could kill a snake like that, which I don't want to do.
No, and that one in particular, I already have a pet-only home for this spring. I said as long as he was doing well, then I would just send that one to her when it's time. I'm just waiting for him to go through his first shed cycle, which sucks with short tails because it's like 6 months sometimes.
Look at some cool holdback, or some cool raise ups.
It's a nice looking baby. They're all nice looking, but ooh, that one's really cool. My favorite is when they don't eat, but then they come after you for the food, and I'm like, well, great. Says no. That one's not a fan of you, Jason.
Yeah, so this guy, like,
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, that's a Hypo Key West blood. This one,
Oh, it gets washed out so much.
yeah, it doesn't even. Yeah, Hypo Key West blood. This one is a Key West Paraglow. This one is a Snow Glow Possible Roswell Latitail. Leopard. This girl is a Paraglow Fire. He doesn't like me.
Good instincts, you know.
But, well, Paraglow Fire. And
Do you have any baby Doomerals still?
I don't know. Those sold like instantly.
People are all over those all of a sudden.
People were like, "Oh, you just said they sold." I'm like, "No. If I said they sold, like, then I can't sell anymore." No, they literally sold. They were all mad at me because they sold out quickly.
You're still so mad, so go back.
There's a.
That's pretty.
It's a Hypo Fire Aztec Parahet, and this is a
So, was that some kind of motley or something?
a Motley Arabesque Het VPI.
I'm learning my Boas a little bit.
Yeah, he's cool. I just figured I'd save him. I'd raise him up. Some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
These couple Burms going out tomorrow. This Burm's gonna be going out.
Oh, that's nice.
It's actually the last one. This guy right here wasn't eating for the longest time, and he finally started eating for me.
Looks like it's ready to eat whatever
Yeah.
comes its way right now.
So he'll be eating, and once he's got a whole bunch of males in him, and eats readily again, and I know that he'll be good. I'll put him back up on the website.
Yeah, Doomerals have become in high demand, which is weird because there was a period of time where nobody wanted them, and then all of a sudden they're crazy popular again.
Yeah, some little hypo bloods that popped out this year. They're gonna hopefully get their first male today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Boas, what, they take like a week or two to shed? Are they similar to pythons in that regard?
Yeah, they take like a week and a half or so. I found they usually take about a week to shed, and then I'll feed them about a week later. Found if you try to feed them any earlier than that, they don't want to eat.
Yeah, Doomerals, the price has gone way up. Everything's gone up with them. It's been crazy.
You know,
Somebody was just saying they were planning on getting one as their first snake from you, and then they went up so much in price. It was like too much, but
It was see, but that's the thing. I feel like they were never. It was almost like Argentines. Like they were never a $100 snake.
no.
They just became a $100 snake because people had them. They couldn't sell them, so they dropped the price. And I'm like, I don't really care if you guys buy them or not. Like, I'm gonna keep them. I'll have 12 Dumero Boas. I don't care.
I bought Kinnaman. I think that Kinnaman, did you mean mine? And that was just like an autocorrect?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, okay, I was going to say, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
But like 2-3 years ago, I was selling my Dumerals for $350, $400.
Yeah, I saw a whole bunch of stuff on the Doomerals. I saw people were all up in arms about it and everything else. Yeah, it's like,
I'm like,
dude.
don't buy them. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care. Just don't buy. Just like the rats. Like,
That's
don't
why.
buy my $7 rat. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
The whole reason I put a price on something is that's the price I'm comfortable letting it walk out the door at.
yes.
So if I don't want something to walk out the door, then it's going to be more expensive than something I don't mind if it does. It's just the way it goes.
Like, whatever. I don't
There's
care.
the thing about having something you're selling is you can set whatever price you want. Nobody has to pay it.
Yes.
But I get people all up in arms like, the only time that's annoying is when people drop the market
yes.
and screw everybody else, especially when it's the person that like founded the project, sell a bunch of stuff at high prices and then undercut everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, when you're investing in people, make sure you're not investing in those types. Invest in other people, because voting with your dollars is the most power we have.
Yeah, honestly, it really was. That's what they were worth to me. I mean, I was on the fence of, if I get this, I'll sell it. If I don't, I'll keep it. I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
there was a Burmese python in here, and they were telling me, "Oh, you're too expensive." I'm like, "Don't buy it." And then they're saying, "Oh, you're unethical." Like, what is unethical about this? This isn't. They're like, "Oh, you're price gouging with like toilet paper." I'm like,
Yeah.
"This isn't toilet paper. This
Yeah.
isn't food. You don't need this. You don't
No.
need to have this. You want it."
It's a luxury item.
And you don't need mine. You know, wait for the next person to have it. Go tell somebody else.
That's my favorite. Well, I can get them from this person for that amount. Okay, well then go buy them.
Yeah, go get it. Go.
Have at it.
Good deal.
Yep, good
where
for
are
you.
they? Maybe it's,
And then what ends up happening is they go buy it, and then they come back to you with questions because that person doesn't support them after the sale. And it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
part of what you were paying when you paid me. Was
Yeah.
that for the rest of that animal's life, I'm going to be there for you.
And then-
That person's gone the moment they got your money. So you got what you paid for. Congratulations.
then people got all pissed off at me because I had customers who still wanted Demurr's boas, and they were like, "I want to buy it from you. I don't want to buy it from them. I want to buy it from you." So I put a post up that says, "If anybody has Demurr's boas, please let me know. I'll buy them." I have customers who want them, and they're like, "You're trying to buy them all off the market, and then you're going to price gouge." I'm like, "No, I have customers who want them." They're like, "Well, why don't you just send them to them?" It says, "Because they want them from me. Because they don't want to buy it from Joe. They want to buy it from me because they trust me, and they trust that if something goes wrong, I'll back it. They don't trust Joe. So if I buy it from Joe, I take it, I quarantine it, I make sure it's feeding and eating, then I sell it." And which is the first time I've ever really done that before. I don't usually do that stuff, but they just wanted more Demurr's boas, and I didn't have them. So I'm like, I'll see if I can find one. They got all pissed off. They were
Yeah.
like, "You're going to buy all the market, and you're trying to price gouge and capitalize." I'm like,
Well, that's
They
why
don't sell 'em
that's why
together.
too, like one of those things with like Kevin at Nerd. Kevin at Nerd is usually good when he gets into a project because he usually actually ups the value of the project with him getting involved in the way that he does things. But some people get so mad about it and like, oh, I don't want him selling what I'm selling. I'm like, dude, I was happy you got into Bloods because now all of a sudden T negative prices are up, stuff like that, and
Yeah.
whatever, good,
it has
know.
a bigger reach. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff that becomes hot, I've had. Too many people try to jump. It's like a stock. Too many
Yeah.
people try to buy it at the peak, and it's like, listen, you're buying it at the peak. It's going to fall, which is, you shouldn't be buying things because you're trying to make money. At least for me, I do
Yeah.
it because I like it. So like Burmese pythons, I had Burmese pythons all throughout the whole Lacey stuff. I didn't sell off my whole
Yeah,
collection.
now they're coming after them again. By the way, I don't know if you saw that.
They are. Yes, I did. But it was one of those things that, like, I will always have Burms. Unless somebody physically takes them from me, I will always have them. Even if there's laws passed that saying that I can't sell them and they're worthless, and even if they're $50 snakes, I'm still going to have them. Now, I may not breed them if they're $50 snakes, because
Yeah.
how the hell am I going to sell them? But I'm still going to have them. It's just too many people try to jump into projects to make money.
That's the
not
tough
what they
thing.
really want.
That's the tough thing too. Like, I don't feel like any reticulated python should ever be $50 or $100.
No, never.
They're too expensive to keep. They're I don't want to say that they're dangerous but they are potentially dangerous. So you don't want them to be a $50 commodity that somebody can buy and throw in a cage without knowing. Like, you want them to be an investment level thing so that they get taken care of, one, and two, that people know what they're getting into. And I understand that there's people with money to burn that'll spend $10,000 on a snake they don't know anything about, but
They're overbred. In my
Oh, yeah.
opinion, everything is getting too overbred. And what I think should happen is, rather than everybody trying to continuously chase the next best thing, prices would be stable if you just bred what you liked and stop trying to chase the next best thing. There's no reason why a motley boa is $100, $150, and a scoria is a couple thousand. There really isn't, in my opinion. I think a motley boa is worth way more than that. It's still a boa constrictor. It's still an awesome boa. And honestly, try finding a motley. I could find a scoria, well, maybe not a motley, but some of these cheaper boas, an albino.
yeah.
I could find a scoria before I can find an albino right now for a decent price.
Dude, people hit me up about that albino female I have all the time.
Yes.
Everybody and their mother has tried to buy her, and it's like, well, she's not really mine to sell, first of all, and second of all, like, no, she's been here for years.
The
She's
whole market's
here.
reversing itself. So
Yeah.
you want to know what the next best thing is? Go back to your bread and butter morphs. That's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Because they've not only have they stabilized, but people don't pay attention to it anymore. So they're
No.
almost tipping in reverse.
Normal Burms were almost impossible to find for a long time. I think they still are tough to find.
I can get more money for a normal berm than I can get for a granite.
Yeah.
Or an albino. Because, well, maybe not an albino. People still like the albinos.
Yeah, and the albinos too, a lot of people weren't producing for a while. I mean, obviously, it's scary to me what happened to a lot of Burms. When that Lacey Act thing went, it's like a lot of them just disappeared off the map, and I have a feeling people did some terrible things, to be honest, because where are all these big Burms? Like, where did they go?
I think a lot of them died.
I'm sure.
Well, I think a lot of It's you're right. Where did they go?
It's like a lot of these things. Like, that's what I always say, like, people that really jump on the hybrid project, where are all these bat eaters? Thousands of bat eaters have been produced. Where are they?
Yeah.
You can find like 5 adults right now in the whole country. Like, where did they all go? What's going on?
I don't think half the stuff thrives the way it should. You know, even things like the leucistic boas and the scorias, and they certainly do thrive. But in my experience, in from what I've seen, things like the leucistic boa, where are all the adults? A lot of them have been bred. I know there's a lot out there, so they're not like a weak gene, but I think a lot of them are weaker than a normal snake, or than like say a regular normal pattern boa.
Yeah, well, it's just like babies. You see it. Like, rarely do you have a baby normal that fails to thrive. It's always all this other stuff where the genetics
like
are.
One over there that's
Yeah.
probably going to be dead by the time by tomorrow. It's all something's messed up. There's too much genetically going on with it.
Do you keep any Hog Islands? I don't remember seeing Hog Islands.
No, I've had them in the past, and every time I got the female to ovulate, she died on me. So I'm like, and I haven't found a really nice looking Hog Island in a long time. All these Hog Islands out there, they don't look like the Hog Islands that I used to see. They're like mudded up versions of them.
There's a few people that have really nice ones, but it's few and far between, and usually it's hard to get one because there's so many people that want them.
Yes. So I have not
I've
seen
noticed
a
that.
good-looking one. If I saw a good-looking pair of Hog Islands, I would buy them tomorrow. I don't even know if I care how much they are. I mean, well, I do. They're not going to be too crazy in price, but I haven't seen a good-looking one in years. I haven't seen a good-looking Hog Island boa.
Yeah.
I mean, the babies used to be phenomenal looking. Now they just looks like somewhat normal-looking babies, and they turn into okay adults, but the babies are not like they used to be.
No, I've seen that with a lot of stuff. The market's very weird.
It's just people are mixing stuff. They're not being honest, and even the purest people, like the people who are like, oh, this is like they're a purebred keeper, and it's like, no, that doesn't look like it used to. It doesn't look like the pure ones that were pure when you could get pure everywhere.
Yeah.
Those look like something that got mixed at some point along the way, and you're not being honest about it. So, I don't know. I haven't. I would, but I don't have them right now.
I didn't think so. I didn't remember seeing them here, but somebody didn't even ask. They were just mentioning Hog Islands.
Yeah.
Somebody said they got theirs from Vin. Yeah, I've seen a few of Vin's. Vin does have some nice ones that I've seen. Dylan has some nice ones at his place, but they're still young, so they're not at the age where he's going to be breeding them.
Yep.
I don't think this year, maybe next year, the year after. But yeah, I've had a few people hit me up like, oh, do you know anybody? I'm like, very few people have them.
No, it's hard to find good looking ones now.
Well, the problem is a lot of people just bred them into everything else and didn't keep them pure, and so now.
I know that Kraken girl that I showed you has Hog Island in her.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is where Kraken came from, but Kraken people will yell at me for that. No, it did, and I'm like, how do
They're
you
coming
know?
for you.
Yeah, how do you know? You just stumbled on it. You don't know where it actually came from.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can almost guarantee Kraken came from Nerd Boas, and Nerd used to cross the shit out of Hog Island stuff.
Yeah.
They
Kevin.
used to have patternless stuff, which is Kraken.
It's funny because people think like, and Kevin still is into hybrids, but not like he used to be. He used to hybridize everything.
Yep.
I remember he used to have all those like jungles crossed with diamonds, crossed with McLots. Like, he used to have all kinds of crazy stuff up there years and years ago, and now I see a lot less of that.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, he used to all those ball pythons crossed with womas, and
He still has some of that stuff.
oh, those things are mean too.
Yeah,
Every one of them is a piece of shit.
that's a cool girl. Right, like they make all kinds of funky looking stuff.
Somebody just asked if you have any IMG, which I know you have some IMG stuff kicking around.
Yes. Like this is I actually had a bunch of my IMG stuff, didn't make the move. But that's a Hypo Aztec IMG. That's a female. And I think I actually I need to make more IMG stuff. But this is that Hypo Aztec Redline IMG, which is awesome looking. Also with a huge male in it.
She looks excited to see me.
Yeah, so he's actually
Or he.
breeding with.
This is the one we were talking about earlier.
I put him in with this girl, who actually just she just ovulated for me the other day.
There's another one of those super chats there. Oops, hold on. I hate how quickly this stuff goes away. Is there a marker that shows off if a possible het albino boa is a het?
Not really. Nothing consistent. Some of them will have, like they call them, I think, headlight eyes, which you can see in here. So I don't know if you can get a look at those eyes.
See how closely. Of course, they're not going to sit still at this age.
I mean, they just really glow, but no, not really. There isn't. These are also possible Kraken. So, but all their eyes, I put a moon glow to this, so all their eyes really glow nicely. But no, there's no easy way.
Burms, I feel like Burms, a lot of Burms, you can tell certain things. Even het albino, sometimes you can see just the way the gold goes and some of the patterns sometimes, but it's, once again, not 100% consistent.
This is my video stool.
Yeah,
Feeling tired. This one's cool.
I hear you. I'm thinking of something else on IMG. I saw one on a show that was completely black. Yeah, I mean, some of them are completely black, but like his stuff that he showed off is mixed with other things. So I'm sure that affects it to some extent too, you know?
He's thinking of a Annery IMG, a black.
Okay.
Devil.
Yeah, Al has a lot of the Black Devil stuff that's really cool.
And I did put a black devil to some of this stuff, but like I said, it didn't make the move. It's funny. Every time I see this snake, I always think there's mites because it's such a clean pattern boa, and then it has like these little black scales. I can see it, yeah. And it always freaks me out.
Make sure I don't get bit in the junk here.
No, he's okay until he bites you. But like something like that, I always think it's a mite. I try to scratch it off, and it never goes anywhere.
Yeah, some of the ivory stuff and bloods.
See, that's what I actually saw. That little freckle.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh no way,
see if I can zoom in on it.
Yeah, but it's just part of the pattern.
I had a guy one time go off on me, and he got mad about something else. And he tried to say that my snakes had mites from a picture, and it was a picture of a baby I just pulled out of the incubator. It had like the vermiculite stuck to it. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like a brand new baby just hatched out with mites. That's how I roll.
Yep, pretty much. It's crazy what people will say.
Oh yeah.
This is a little pearl island.
I was gonna say, where is it?
So a lot of pearl islands don't look like this anymore.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to see on camera, of course, the way it fades in some of the colors, but it's really cool.
But very similar to a Kraken, which is, who
yeah.
knows? Who knows what the real deal is? Very similar to a Kraken on that one. What else we got? Paradox. Get a little Paradox.
Yeah, I want to get up to Jason's house one day and shoot up there. I've been trying to get with him.
I always like this guy because he's got, the Paradox on his belly and stuff. I don't know if the camera's picking that up.
A little bit.
A little bit on his head. It smells like poop in there, too. He's got something digging in the back. There it is. There he goes. There's the poop I was looking for.
Oh, yeah, now I just got a whiff of it.
Yeah. I was sitting close.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a minute and then you catch it. Where are you going? I don't have any food for you. He doesn't either. He's got a poop scoop. Got the poop bucket. Yeah, that's. I love the space in here. Jason was all excited to have space, and now he says it's too much open space. But as someone who doesn't have a lot of space to work, like I really appreciate this. He's got the little cart here. You can roll around and put the cages right on. So I like it.
Let's get you in front of the camera, Dan.
I know.
I feel like I've been doing all the talking.
I know. Well, we were going to sit down. We can do that for a little bit before we wrap this up. Let me switch the camera around here for a second. Oh, there you go. Let me get my junk for a minute here.
Yeah, sexy. Dan, this is sexy time.
Yeah, always. I think that'll be at a good height. We'll see
Wow,
when
look
we
at all.
sit
Wait,
down.
so hold on. So this is saying there's how many people say watching? 65 people? Is that right?
What are you reading?
What am I reading?
I don't know what you're reading.
35 people?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
You would get
35?
you would
Who
get a
wants
lot
to watch
more.
this?
You'd
Who
get a-
wants to watch this?
You would get a lot more with your channel because you have to see.
You guys
Now
are
the problem
great.
is I can't see the damn.
Let's get close. Let's get real close.
Get real intimate. Now I can see. See, it goes away too fast.
Does that say Dan the heavy duty soldier?
I don't know. Turn the camera back, Dan the heavy duty soldier. People are just intellectually malnourished.
Oh, I love it. I
Caesar
love
Payne's
those
little
kinds of
bitch.
comments. I'm so happy to hear that because there's so much shit out there that, like I was telling Dan, is I started a TikTok for about a week.
What's wrong with us? There's something wrong with all of us, first of all.
Yeah.
Everybody. Me, him, you.
Yeah.
Everybody here, there's something wrong with you guys.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's the way it goes.
But I started a,
More black Sumatrans. There's no Sumatrans here. We need to get Jason to buy some.
yes.
Jason's going to eventually get something. He's supposed to come down to my house at some point, and we're gonna get some Hudson Shorttails in his hands on his channel there. So make sure you guys are subscribed to him if you're not already. I know a lot of you are, but we're definitely gonna get him down there, and we're gonna put the big T positive female in his hands, see if he's ready.
Yeah, it's nice being. No, nobody can hear me because I just ran away.
They
So I
can't hear
had
you
to get my
anyway.
coffee. It's nice being so close to Dan now.
Yeah.
One because it's just the webcam with Dan. It's just not the same.
I told you I work with rocks. I'm an idiot.
No, it's crazy because I was telling Dan, like, I started a TikTok for about a week, and I still don't. I guess like if you're 15, TikTok is cool.
Probably upset some
Just
people.
I know it pissed people off, but the videos, none of my good videos actually did really well on there. It was the video of.
Shit.
I should say that one of my best videos was Burmese pythons last year. The male using the spurs to court the female. And the only reason why I did it good was because it went totally viral. It was like 20 million views because people thought it was a snake dick. That's the only reason why. It's just because I thought it was a snake dick. It had nothing to do with people thinking snakes are cool or anything. It was because people thought it was a snake dick. And I'm like, it just killed me inside to show that an educational video, something that has really good content, is going to get nothing. But then there's a snake dick. Let's share it around everywhere. Let's
Yeah.
just share that snake dick.
It's weird what's popular. And then I can't tell you how many times I pop into a group and someone's like, oh, something's wrong with my snake. There's like a tick or something stuck in it. It's a picture of a spur. And it's like,
No.
how do you own these animals and you don't know stuff like this? Like, it's just, that's like a basic, I see, it goes away too quick. And
I
I
like
can't
the
figure
comments.
out,
The comments are cool.
I can't figure out a way to keep it up there. Dan, how do you feel about Juggernaut Reptiles still posting videos of live feeding? I love Elijah, but I'm definitely not for the live feeding thing. I think Elijah's a good dude. I think he's got some really nice animals. So I definitely wish he wouldn't do that. But I do get where some people are coming from, where there's so much out there where they feel like no matter what we do, we're doomed anyways. Yeah. Plus one of the things that makes it tough is other countries, you know, people are feeding dogs, they're feeding all these things where it's normal over there. And so regardless, they'll take that material and use it and act like it's us over here anyway. So I do get that mentality, but I do think that we need to be more responsible. Especially my biggest feeling on that is not even the PETA and HSUS shit. It's we need people that keep rats, that keep dogs, that keep cats, that keep hamsters, whatever it is to fight for us because we're too small of a community. So anything that's going to make them feel some kind of way is not really a good idea. So obviously I'd prefer if he wasn't doing that, but I am not anybody's father. So, you know, that's kind of all I can say there. Got my short tail from him. Hello, ZD. Funny how things change. I started by keeping Burms in the 80s. Now I have children's pythons mostly. That's a stark contrast, really, from one of the larger pythons in the world to one of the smallest. But the cool thing is, some of those Australian snakes are really intelligent.
Yeah.
My spotted python, I find a lot of interesting behaviors with her. She's really great, but a lot of spotteds are bags of dick.
So not to get into like laws and politics and all that stuff. But what's your take on people posting certain videos in bad taste on YouTube, for instance? Where do you draw the line of this can be used against us versus this is no one's going to actually use this? Because I'll give you my opinion that might start this is I think that some stuff can be bad, but I don't think and I don't post live feeding, but I don't think posting stuff on social media is as bad as it's generally buzzed around the reptile keeping industry. I wish half those people, if a small percentage of those people who complain about, oh, you're pushed in that live feeding video or whatever, actually supported organizations that were out there to try to help fight for our rights, that would be, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I guess I don't see it as big of an impact as people make it out to be. I feel like people just like the drama of being on one side of the argument.
So not even so much as that, but in general, negativity seems to get more of a reaction than positivity does.
Yes.
So I always say you go to like the FBI groups and you see a good guy post, there's like 4 likes and 2 comments, and then somebody does a scumbag move and there's 400 comments on there and whatever. People just seem to be drawn to negative. And the people that tell you, oh, I hate drama, are the first people there every time, jumping in, creating it, driving it. So my take on stuff like this is every single thing that we post, if you stop for a minute before you post and think about how is this showing off the animals in a positive light, how is this helping the community come together, and if every single thing we post, you think about with that in mind, you know, even if you might post something that you're still on the fence about, at least if you're always thinking from that perspective, then chances are you're going to put out more content than bad.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm not a clickbait person. I know you're not really either.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of straight and to the point. I've gotten into lately a little bit more, taking a little bit more time with the thumbnails because it does draw more traffic.
Sexy, if I may say so
I'm,
myself.
well, you know, I'm a hot person, so.
I was like, man, I wish he would yank those down a little bit lower.
I didn't even mean to. I looked at the picture. I'm like, oh man,
I'm gonna watch this video
this
just
one.
to see if I can see this in real life. Is there a video of this?
Oh my god, yeah, that's the last thing people want. Well, the freaking NSA or whatever, I'm sure they've seen some shit over the years, stuff that goes over the phone.
Well, I guess, you know, in thinking is, I think a lot of people make a big deal that it can't hurt us, and I agree.
Excuse me 1 second. Do you? If you're asking him, does he sell hoodies? I believe you do. Do you have any for sale right now, though? I know we were just talking about your stock is low.
I need to make more. I do sell hoodies. I guess I struggle with it because the price, like we were talking, it's not cheap to make a hoodie. I'm like,
No.
for me to make a hoodie and sell it, I got to be like $50, and people are willing to pay it. But I guess I look at it, and if I sell it for $50, I also have to spend like $2-3 grand just to get a handful of hoodies. So it's I need to make more. I get a lot of people requesting it.
2 awesome channels coming together. Yeah, we're gonna adopt a child soon. That's the next step, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, we started with the house plant.
Killed that already.
Yeah, that's
but,
dead.
but we're confident.
Yep.
Now,
One day.
for my stuff, you can get hoodies through. There's a link in a couple other videos. I haven't put any links on this video obviously yet because it's live. After I will. But there's a link on my Instagram, I believe on my YouTube, on my Facebook as well. So my stuff goes through a site where it's made to order, because I didn't have the money to put up front. It's very expensive to get stuff made because you have to buy in so much bulk. So you have to spend $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to get reasonable pricing. So I didn't have that investment to make, which is why I went the route that I did. And I actually will have some new designs soon. Kara's been helping me do some stuff there, so her and I have to get together at some point so I can see what she's done and go from there. I'm sorry you guys are commenting a lot and I'm missing a lot of this stuff.
Just because they finally
That's where the super chats come in. I'm
your
obligated.
sexy face in there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, yeah, Dan's the man.
What they're trying to do, my face is probably on that side on their feed, so they're trying to block it.
Even your number of people watching's gone up because
Yeah,
they're
by
like, this
2.
guy's sexy.
Labyrinth boas in your collection. Do you have any labyrinth boas?
I have jungles that look just like them.
I've never even heard of that. I know labyrinth Burms.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the labyrinth. I don't have any. I may get them. They look to me like jungles. I think they can make a crystal boa, which is pretty awesome looking. No, I don't really chase the newest and latest projects, but maybe I should start.
I don't either. I've never been that way. I focus on my little corner of the world and add once in a while when I see something I feel like will add to it. Black rat snakes, somebody asked about. I think they can. They're pretty intelligent snakes. They're active. Excuse me. So like I have mine in my living room. She's set up and it's cool because I get to watch her do all kinds of stuff in there. She drives me crazy because she likes to push all the substrate away from one certain spot in the cage, and every time I fix it, I turn around and it's moved back again.
Yes.
So I don't know what she's doing with it, but she likes the bare glass over there, and I can't stop it. So I've kind of given up for the most part, but if I go in to change her water, I just put it all back, and then I finally caught her actually doing it the other day, and I watched her go over and push it all away, and I was like, "Ah, you bitch!" But it's cool because she climbs, she comes out and basks. I'll know when I turn on the light in the morning, like within a half hour, she'll be hiding like in her substrate or underneath her log, and she'll come out and sit on top of the log and bask. And she's very in tune with everything going on around her, so I enjoy her. They can be a little nippy at times, and they can be a little, high strung, I guess would be the word I would use. But I definitely think they can make great pets, especially if you spend some time with them and have them comfortable.
I just had a great comment for that.
What
I'm
was
keeping
that?
to myself.
Go for it. There's no holds barred here.
No way.
Let me see. Curious about this. I want to get into boas, but heard you can't keep boas and ball pythons in the same room. It's not that you can't, but there is some stuff that one will carry that will affect the other. So, I mean, if you're quarantining and you're really focused, you can do it. I have my boa out with my Australian stuff in the living room right now. So it's my boa, my southern white-lipped male, my spotted python, and then my male olives on the bottom. But I had that boa for like 5 years before I ever mixed it into the collection. Most of what people are worried about typically with that is IBD, and IBD is not as common as a lot of people make it out to be. But IBD, a boa could live with pretty much for a lifetime, can't they? They can last a long time with it.
Yeah.
Whereas pythons, it's done very quick.
So that's kind of what's been. I guess the thing is, if you have healthy snakes, then yes, you can keep them together because there's nothing to transfer.
Yeah.
So buy from. I didn't want to say buy from reputable people because everybody's idea of a reputable person is different, and somebody's idea of a reputable person is like my last person I would go to, just
Yeah.
because they have a name. But I would say yes, you can as long as you have healthy things. But the whole concept I'm learning about this myself, the whole concept of keeping boas and pythons in the same room together, your pythons will die. I guess there's new strains of arenavirus, which is what IBD starts from, and there's strains where both of them can live significantly long lives together. So maybe, in my opinion, the ones that would kill pythons off quickly are still out there, but not as prevalent. I do think arenavirus is out there. It's not as prevalent as people make it out to be, but I do think it is out there. And I'm going to hopefully try to learn a little bit more about that over the next, I would say, month.
I think the other thing too is, just be careful. Clean
Yeah.
up before you go from cage to cage as much as you can. If you have to wear gloves, wear gloves when you're cleaning. That's something that I don't do that I probably should. I hand sanitize between, like, I consider each rack or area of the room its own separate entity. So I try not to move from area to area. So even though all my snakes are fine as far as I'm aware, especially now with nidovirus and all those things and what
Yeah.
we're learning, a snake can have nido for 6 years, you have no idea, and all of a sudden your power goes out for a couple hours, just enough stress on that animal, and now all of a sudden it's symptomatic.
Yep.
So we're learning a lot more as time goes on. So the more cautious you are in general, the better. You see people like put their ball python, their boa in the bathtub together.
Yeah, I
Don't do
wouldn't do
that.
that.
Ever. I wouldn't. I don't put two snakes in the water together at the same time pretty much ever. And a lot of times when I pair my snakes up, I'll even pull water. Especially if they're snakes that are in, once again, the same system or same area, I don't necessarily do that as much. But I told Jason a lot of times if I'm pairing stuff up, I'll soak them both before I pair them, scrub the cage down, put them in. Sometimes I even put a pest strip in there just in case. Now, I don't have mites floating around in my room, but God forbid, I go places, and Jason doesn't have mites here either, but God forbid I come over here, I go to Nerd, I go to wherever, and there happens to be a mite, they can go home with you, and all of a sudden one mite can turn into 1,000 in a hurry.
Yeah.
So
and
we
it's
just
also
like prevention.
It's fluid to fluid transfer. So
Yeah.
it's not like I have a snake in this hand, a snake in this hand, and all of a sudden they're going to transmit diseases. It's not an airborne type of thing. But if this snake drinks from the same water bowl as this one does, or if they're breeding, that's how it gets transferred.
Right.
Or mites where just like a tick is, they can suck the blood from this animal, kind of regurgitate a little bit in the other one, and all of a sudden it's. Think about it like AIDS. It's almost like our HIV and AIDS. It's like it gets transmitted in the same fashion where it's got to be fluid to fluid contact.
Yeah,
So
and water is a good vector for that, like I said, so that's why I would never soak snakes together. Sometimes they share water dishes when they're paired up, but those are usually snakes that I've had, either bred myself and had their whole life, so I'm confident that they're healthy.
Yep.
Or whatever it is, so, if you can avoid it, why not? That's my take, you know.
I get you so backed up on comments on this. I'm seeing these things flying.
I know. Malice and Chains. I always say that's one of my favorite accounts. That's a great name. Let's see. Let me back up here. I remember going to Nerd when I was 15 and seeing the massive berm that looked like a tractor tire coiled up.
Yes.
Was hooked on berms for a while. Quarantine the shit out of everything. Absolutely. With
But even then, let's just talk on quarantine for a minute. You could quarantine the heck out of it, but a lot of these things you might not see for 3 years down the line. So quarantine is forever, in my opinion. It's like
Yeah.
you always have to treat and handle an animal like like it has something.
yeah.
Even if it doesn't, even if you test it, because it doesn't, it's just, you
Well,
have to.
like Nido, the only way they'll test positive is they're symptomatic. If they're
Yeah.
not, then you get a negative test. Plus, there's false negatives. I mean,
Yep.
just like anything else, nothing's perfect, and we're still learning so much.
Yeah.
And people get so scared of nidovirus, and you should be scared to an extent, but you should also realize that this stuff's been floating around for decades, and we just didn't know what it was.
I mean, I have a bunch of swabs over there that I am going to be looking at some boas this weekend, or I guess this week. I want to do a whole bunch of tests before they come in. Just as a second line of defense, I'm not set up to quarantine right now. I was at my old place. I had a bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't have anything to quarantine now, so I need to make sure that if they come in, they're good. I'm not going to promote that this should be, every animal that goes out should be tested. It's just these are some older boas, and I want to make sure they're good before I bring them in. So that's something that I'm going to learn a little bit more about. I just want to know about it. You know, I have to. So,
Yeah.
but it's a simple swab test. It's not going to be the best thing. They'll tell you, like, we're not going to test. It's like the COVID test. Unless you have it, it's not going to find it. But if you have it, it will find it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's always guaranteed that it's going to be a positive hit, but to me, it's a better line of defense than to not do it at all. I'm not promoting it. I'm going to try it for the first time ever myself this week.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what
I haven't
comes
done
out
any
of it.
testing, but I've had customers test animals. I've sent them, and everything's been great.
Yeah.
But from everything that I've been hearing, if you have a collection the size we do, Nido's somewhere in there just by the sheer number of animals. I think they said anything over like 25 animals, it's likely you have it somewhere.
Yeah, and that's more of a python thing than a boa thing. Boas are arena virus, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
think they can have Nido, but
Yeah, I don't even know now that I think about it. I don't know enough about it.
yeah.
And I still try to keep up on it, but there's so much going on in the world right now between legislation and everything else that our attention is so divided.
What else we got here?
Any tips on getting a Dumeral's boa to switch to rodents? It will only eat live chicks right now. I tried scenting the rodents, no luck so far.
Quail, maybe? Try scenting it with quail. It depends on a lot of factors, but quail is usually what makes things just get triggered, especially, well, what makes Dumeral's boas get triggered. So I would say try quail, try live mice, try live rats. Sometimes they'll take rats easier than mice. But if I would try live, unless you're in one of the countries that you can't feed live, then quail.
Get to the point of be like a witch hunt because ignorance. Oh.
Yeah.
I saw somebody ask about will there ever be a vaccine for snakes and would you get it? I mean, it would really depend on what the vaccine was for and the effectiveness. Like, I'm not anti-vax by any stretch, but like I don't get the flu vaccine because I don't feel like the flu is a danger to me, and I
Yeah.
don't live with anybody elderly or anything. So I don't see a reason to get it. I haven't had the flu in years.
If there were an arenavirus vaccine or a Nido vaccine, I would 100% get it in a second. If it worked, absolutely.
Yeah.
They also depended on cost too. I
Right.
mean, if it was reasonably
Yeah, if
priced,
it's
why not?
$5,000 a shot or something, you know, it's just
Yeah.
not feasible. I fear it'll get to the point where it'll be like a witch hunt because ignorance will always be present, testing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I know Nerd went through that at some point where everybody was jumping on them about it because somebody had bought a snake or something that
remember
tested
that.
positive at some point. And there's been a lot of people that had it. I mean, Tillis had a problem with it years ago, and that's why Tillis basically is on the forefront of it now, which is really cool. He went all in. He's going to vet school right now. And he's really, really on the forefront of researching that virus, and that's where a lot of the good information comes from.
Yeah. Well,
And-
here's a good example is somebody got a snake from me, older boa, had it for I think about a year and a half, 2 years, bought another snake from somebody else, bred those two snakes together. The male that he got from somebody else was starting to act all wonky, do the weird head movements, and he got that tested. He actually got his whole collection tested. the boa he got from me and the boa he got from the other guy came back tested positive for rhinovirus. My boa showed 0 symptoms. So we kind of concluded that, and he also got other boas from me in the past. Those also showed nothing. He concluded it came from the male. It was from the breeding of them, but that's how it can. And just because, so now she can have babies, and those babies don't necessarily need to have
Yeah.
it. So that's what's so tricky about it is you're, like you said, it becomes a witch hunt, and it also diminishing returns on it is. I think most people don't know how to properly take swabs. I mean, if I'm taking a swab of, let's say, no, that one's empty, of this snake, of any snake behind me, if I'm not changing my gloves, washing my hands in between snakes, I could cross-contaminate everything. So it just, I mean, I could spread it as I'm swabbing. So I think it is.
Well, the scary thing too is they were trying to see what like disinfectants and things killed some of these viruses, and some of them need like 10 minutes contact time direct with bleach, and like
Yeah.
almost none of us leave stuff that long, especially you have all these cages.
Yep.
If you let everything sit for 10 minutes, you'll be in here for days
Yes.
before you get through everything. So it's just not practical. So that's the scary thing about it is, you know, our normal maintenance and disinfecting is not necessarily going to kill it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I do, baby snakes that I hatch are always considered basically quarantined for life. So, especially because I'm going to sell those at some point to somebody else's house. So every time I go into my snake room, the first thing I work on is the babies, then wash up and go to the regular stuff. I don't like to bounce back and forth between established animals and babies. I like to treat them as if, you know, it's a totally separate collection. Just that way, God forbid, if I sell anything to somebody, it's never really come in contact with whatever could be floating around, which, like I said, I'm not aware of anything, but who knows?
Yeah.
So I always treat my babies like they're a whole separate collection, basically. And, you know, that's worked well for me, knock on wood. I've never had somebody come back and say, oh, I got a mite from you, or oh, this is diseased, or oh, this is whatever. I've never had any issues. And I think part of that is because I take that precaution. And I also feel like every single snake you sell is an extension of your business, your hobby, whatever it
Yes.
is. So I take a lot of pride in that, and I want to make sure that everything I'm sending out is 100%. So I've told you guys before, I had, you know, 1 or 2 picky eaters over the years. So I made sure that people were prepared on how to set the animal up. I made sure they were prepared that the animal's probably not going to eat for a couple of weeks. And then, whereas some animals, 4 meals are out the door because you just know they're strong feeders, an animal like that is 10, 12, 15 meals, so that I know it's got weight on it. If it doesn't eat for a month or 2 for them, it's not going to be a huge deal.
Yep.
And of course, those people listened, and the snakes ended up thriving and doing well. But, you know, you have to make sure your customers are on board with doing what's best for that animal when you have that situation. Otherwise, plan on keeping it, because
Yeah.
you send that out to the wrong person, they're gonna be like, oh, well, it didn't eat, and the animal from you didn't eat because, you know, it's your problem or whatever. Some animals just have a stronger food drive than others.
Yeah. I'm huge on that as well. Is you need to make sure that everything is
Oh, these
everything
comments.
is could come back, and there's a reason why, you know, some places have good and bad reviews, and I don't want any bad reviews. And every animal I send out is, like you said, a representation of me. And saw a couple comments in there. We're way back.
Somebody said, yeah, it might be dumb, but does Jason keep any invertebrates as pets?
No, I used to have a tarantula. I think it was a Chilean rose hair, but
Not me, that's for sure.
yeah, no, it got old and ended up dying. But
Somebody asked about if I think feeding chicks and things to blood pythons is good. I feed my bloods a variety of stuff, so they get rats, rabbits, guinea pigs, chickens, quail. We were talking about hamsters earlier. I've never gone the hamster route yet. But right now, the feeder's getting expensive. Everybody's trying different stuff. Yes, on occasion, you can get an animal that'll get stuck on birds especially. But by and large, especially if you start cycling stuff in when they're younger, usually you don't. I have never personally had a blood or short tail get stuck on birds only, but I don't feed birds as a staple. I mix them in on occasion.
would do to Burms.
Yeah, Burms can be tough, man. I've seen Burms that don't come back from chicken. It's like, well, now this is what I eat.
Yes, the only time I'll feed a chick to a Burm is if it is like the last resort of this thing is just not eating. That's the only time I'll do a frozen chick for a Burm, and it's like crack to those things.
I don't know what you found, and I haven't kept a ton of Burms, but I kept Burms over the years, and I found the males are more likely to get stuck on a food source like that than the females. Usually the females I found would eat a variety, but I had males that like would never switch to rabbits, or males that would never just wanted birds and not rodents. I don't know if you found that. I know you keep a lot more than I have.
You might be right. No, I think it's kind of across the board.
Gotcha.
I do think, it's kind of. I was gonna say, you're right, but I'm thinking back at some Burms that I produced, and typically, I have males that generally do get stuck, but I have females that get stuck too. So there may be some truth to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only kept maybe less than a dozen Burms over the years, so I haven't had a huge sample size.
Yeah.
But I just remember having more picky males than females than what I dealt with, so I wasn't sure if that was something you had found.
Yeah. No, like the one over there that's a pick eater, that's a female, and I find it's kind of a mixed bag, but the more I think about it, it usually seems like the older animals that I have are the ones that are still stuck on things, and those are males. So maybe I haven't held back enough picky females to notice, but
Yeah, that's one thing I try not to. If I can avoid it, I try not to hold back picky feeders for breeding, because I just feel like it's gonna pass down. And it depends. It's one thing if an animal just prefers rats and that's it. Like that doesn't bother me too much. But like animals that won't touch frozen thawed or won't touch, I typically don't hold those animals back. I just don't wanna. I don't want to end up with a collection of those.
yeah.
And I think that's a big thing with ball pythons. Why they're so picky is just because a lot of the people in that just breed anything and don't think twice about it.
Yep.
But short tails, especially like Sumatrans, they eat anything. I could throw shoe leather in there and they're on it.
I'm loving these comments.
What do you think about Superfire? What do you think Superfire IMG would look like?
A white, just the same as if it didn't have it. That's my. I know there's a whole bunch of comments we passed, but
Do I go live every weekend? No, I do not go live every weekend.
I'm gonna start as long as you guys super chat me. I'm gonna start live. I'm gonna start doing some live videos. I'm
Yeah.
on these live things.
See, it's funny too because you got the wrong impression from your live video because you watch like a bar check one where people are just throwing thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
like
at
how
them.
does that work? This dude just made like $5,000 on his
Yeah,
live video.
We don't get that.
Yeah.
I guess we have to start doing throwing the ethics out the window. Then I might make a little bit more money. But
I could get naked on camera.
Oh, we would definitely lose some money there.
Come on. They might pay for us to stay.
Yeah,
keep our
put the clothes
on.
back on. That
Yeah,
might be a
please,
good way
please.
to get people. I hope it doesn't happen, but if they do start banning reptiles everywhere, do they have to do the grandfather thing? No, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They can do basically whatever they want. And we were talking earlier, the thing that scares me is I'm not necessarily against permutation. I think permutation can be good, especially if you have the right people that are checking, make sure people are taking proper care of these animals, doing proper things. I'm on board with that. The problem with that is finding the people that are going to, like anything else, money makes the world go round. So you see it with health inspections at restaurants. There's plenty of restaurants that would fail a normal health inspection, but the health inspector gets freebies and so they pass it. I also worked at a restaurant where they didn't like corporate restaurants, so they came down harder on corporate restaurants than they did on mom and pop shops to try to push corporate restaurants out, which in a sense I understand is not necessarily a bad thing, but I also feel like with something like a health inspection, you need to have a uniform standard and follow it. And I think permutation with reptiles, we've run into the same thing where friends are shaking hands, making deals. We've seen situations where animal control officers were seizing animals they wanted in their collection, hoarding them, and then got caught doing that. So like anything else, there's always corruption in everything. But also, Connecticut did a thing where they gave out permits, said, no, we're not taking away things, we're just keeping track. And then a few months later, changed the law and used the permits to go and seize the animals. So stuff like that scares people, and I get why that scares people. So there is no perfect solution, but they do not have to grandfather stuff in. Sometimes they do just because it's easier for them. They don't have to go out and start seizing stuff right away. They can have some time to figure out how they're going to enforce the laws. And that's the other thing. Just because a law is written doesn't mean they're going to enforce it. Sometimes they won't. Like the way Connecticut's been working right now, because they're so short-staffed, or they were, now that'll probably change since the government's changed a bit. But they downsized a lot of the environmental stuff, so they downsized the staff. So what they were doing in Connecticut was until you had 2 complaints against you, they weren't even bothering to investigate stuff. Now, if they get that staff back, that's going to change, and it's going to be back to as soon as they get a complaint, they're going to show up at your door.
Yeah.
Which is scary because Connecticut was brutal prior to 2016 when this stuff started to change.
I don't think COVID's helping anything right now. Not to sidetrack it, but
No.
but COVID right now is helping somewhat on the inspections, but I think it's
Yeah.
also going to hurt us because people are looking for stuff to do. These regulators,
Yeah.
they need work. They need to justify their jobs.
Yeah, and with people not out as much and not out, they have to find other avenues, and we are one of
Yep.
those avenues, unfortunately.
Easy target.
And yeah, we're also a slam dunk for them more often than not.
Yep.
Seems like they're really coming after guns and animals this year. Yeah. Would you give up your animals or go underground? That's really tough, and I can't say what I would do in that situation until I'm in that situation. You know, I would almost rather never ever give up my animals in any situation. I think I would probably try to relocate if possible to a state that had friendlier laws, which I want to do anyways. I just can't afford to right now.
Here I am, just moving right in.
Yeah. It's taking over my market, man. It's messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. And the thing is, I always look at how it affects the hobby. And so there's a lot of stuff that's illegal here that I would love to have, but I won't go out and get because of how, you know, you get caught with it. It negatively affects everybody.
Yeah, I'd love to have Dan as a lover, but I have a wife, and that would totally negatively affect me.
Yeah, I'm the jealous type. It just wouldn't work. You
Yeah.
know, I have to be the focus. So.
Yeah, it sucks.
You know, and she seems like a decent person, so I can't push her out.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That's not cool.
But yeah, no, I don't know what I would do in that situation. I think it would depend. Like Connecticut's had amnesty days in the past, where basically you turn in your animals and they either euthanize them or they'll give them away to somebody that's going to use them for whatever.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible.
It sounds horrible.
Where basically they're saying like, oh, we won't persecute you if you come and drop these animals off. And then people were dropping off perfectly legal animals and they're making a big deal. Like, look at this great thing we did. And it was just really sad. Like I spent a lot of time with my animals. I don't want to just hand them over to anybody else really. But I certainly don't want to see them get euthanized just because they exist. And that's what bothers me the most.
Yeah.
Maine went off the rails with that, and we saw what happened. Maine euthanized animals that were legal.
Yeah, that
And
was
then
terrible.
instead of apologizing and accepting their mistake, they just made everything illegal, so now they don't have to figure it out. And so that's the unfortunate part of that. When we do push back from time to time, we don't always win. Sometimes it just makes them go, you know what, you're right, this is too difficult for us to figure out, so everything's off the table.
And I think that's key to this too, is the whole kind of legislative argument is a lot of the times I think we think as reptile keepers too emotional because that's what we are. These are our animals. But we say some stuff that is just totally backfiring against us. Like if there were people on that U.S. Fish and Wildlife call that said, well, if you ban my animals, I'm just going to let them loose. Like, well, that's
already what they think you're going to do, and now you're telling them that thought crossed your mind. It's just not.
Well, like,
prudent.
why is that a productive comment? I understand people are passionate about it, but that right there is the exact reason why they don't want us to have it. Because you just furthered their argument. Hey, great idea, let's pass this law. Because these people are crazy enough to go let them loose. So that they're clearly not responsible as we think they are. Because you put them in a bad situation and they're gonna do things that are negative, that could negatively affect us and the environment.
Massachusetts has some city laws too. They definitely do.
Yes,
People
they
should
do.
mind their business. Let me have snakes. In Arizona, I think we are going to start having an issue. Our Herpetological Society is finding bearded dragon communities in the mountains. Yeah, bearded dragons are coming up a lot lately in a lot of this legislation. It's not necessarily there yet, but there's talks about it. And I think everybody thinks of some of these animals are untouchable, but they're not. Everything is on the table. The scariest thing about the legislation is how ambiguous it's written. So they'll sit there and tell you, oh, no, we're not going to enforce it that way. But if they have the ability to, eventually they're going to.
Yeah.
So we have to, when we are fighting, that's one of the things we really have to focus on is the language, how ambiguous it is, because you want them to clearly define, because sometimes we're not even the intended target of some of this legislation, but because it's written so loosely, we fall into that category. And so that's where, like USARK, it's good that they put these alerts out for other animals too, because sometimes it encompasses a larger area than intended. And that happens probably 75% of the damning legislation isn't intended to be damning. It's just too loosely written.
Yeah.
And the people that are writing these laws don't understand. They just see like, okay, well, I can use this to enforce, puppy mills. But then the definition of puppy mills is holding 100 animals for sale or something.
Yeah.
So then even though a person might be keeping snakes fantastically, if they're holding these animals for sale, they fall into that category,
Yeah, it just
even though it
pushes-
wasn't intended.
It pushes that stone down the hill to
Yeah.
get it rolling and,
Yeah.
and snowballs. And
And once it's on the books, if you piss somebody off, they'll find a way to use it. You notice how hard they pushed for this once the current regime took control. Yeah, I mean, I try not to, be divisive because of that, but that is a fact that people seem to want to ignore. And the thing is, you look at who was putting this stuff through in the stimulus deals and all that stuff. It was one side mostly, but both sides do get involved because there's money behind this, and unfortunately, there's corruption from the bottom to the top.
See,
So-
I'll agree and disagree with that. I'll agree because, well, let me say I'll disagree because I think it has more to do with them having nothing else to talk about.
Oh, it's definitely
There's nothing else to talk about. Joe's what the hell, that Joe Exotic, whatever that show
yeah.
is, Tiger King, that did well. What catches people's attention better than exotic animals? Something that has a very small, support group behind it can get huge support behind, moving to get the ball rolling, and it's flashy. It catches attention, so it's easy to catch headlines. It's easy to get moving,
Yeah.
and I think that has more to do with it, because look at the states. They're, Republican states are passing these laws.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, it's all over the place, but Florida got the ball rolling, which is so crazy to me because they're the ones who are pro guns, but then they're trying to use the exact logic against reptiles. If you don't have them, they can't hurt you. When they're supporting, no, guns are fine because it's only the bad people that have them. So
Yeah.
the logic when you apply it to guns and to these same people that are pushing these laws, it's like you'll support guns, but you won't support reptiles. And your logic is exactly what the other side is trying to use. It's just, it blows my mind.
It's maddening. We talked about this earlier too. Like, no matter what laws you write, it's just going to hurt people that are already being responsible, and it's not going to hurt the people that are irresponsible because they're not going to care. So all this legislation is doing is basically going to make our image worse over the long run, because all you're going to see is the shitty people, because they're the ones that are just going to ignore the laws and do whatever they want to do anyways.
Yeah.
People that are
Creating
releasing
jobs.
people that are releasing these animals into the wild are not responsible keepers, period.
Well,
It's just, you're not, because you wouldn't do that if you're a responsible keeper.
think big picture though. If they ban reptiles, it's going to create jobs. Why? Because now there's something to enforce. There's something to get a team of people together to go look for, to go enforce. It just created a job. Because there are
It's also going to magnify the problems that they're trying to protect, because
Yes.
now people that aren't going to want to get caught are going to dump these animals, and it's just going to become a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And so you're going to turn law-abiding and good keepers into shit keepers because now they're so scared. So like anything else, they'll make a bunch of legislation, it'll backfire, and
Yeah, it's going to be extremely unregulated, which is the problem. I don't think not many reptile keepers would argue against some limited regulation so that we can keep track of this. We all want the same thing. We don't want the environment to go to crap. But when you pass blanket laws that completely ban things, prohibition doesn't work. It never has, and it never will. And I think that there's smarter ways to go about this, but there's no simple solution that's going to keep everybody happy, which is
No.
good and bad. I mean, if everybody was happy with the same solution, the world would be a little bit boring.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like our channels.
yeah, boring. And I do have to say, I do have to get some feeders in
Yeah, I
about
know. I got to go too myself. We have to both go over
soonish.
there.
So maybe we'll blast
Yeah.
through a little bit more. And
Yeah, USARC is always opposing these restrictive law. I can't wait. So, I mean, there have been a few cases where people have gone and actually reversed some laws or opened stuff up. It's few and far between, unfortunately. It's a lot easier to stop something in the beginning than it is to overturn something later on. But there have been examples of people using their herp society and getting together and going to these people and getting them to see, like, oh yeah, this is a restrictive law that doesn't need to be there, whatever. But it's tough sledding because most people don't like us from the get-go. We don't have a ton of support. And so when you're fighting a seriously uphill battle. Just finished feeding the feeders. Yeah, that's why I don't breed feeders anymore. It's too much work for me.
yeah, and you need to with that, you need to make every time we put ourselves out there, we need to represent ourselves as responsible, respectable people. Because if we're just out there as fools, that's what we're going to get treated like. And even if there's one fool in the bunch, that's who everybody targets. They're going to look at that person.
Yeah.
And that's the person that represents the 100 people who are responsible and good.
Yeah,
It's
I always say
unfortunate.
that we have to do 1,000 good things for every bad thing, and even that's not enough.
Yep.
That's why I've done videos on that stuff where people have a perception of us. And so whenever somebody does that thing, they just go, oh yeah, see, I knew these were bad people. So we have to work so much harder to fight that.
Yes.
And that's every single one of us. Every single thing we post, you know, even if you think nobody's going to see it, imagine that the whole world's going to see everything you do. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
That's
what the
fancy.
heck is that thing? Wow, baby.
Snake pee-pee. That's what you were talking about earlier. What got you the most views.
Whoa, baby, that's
yeah.
that's a fancy super chat. I gotta get me going live next.
Yeah.
This is fancy.
This thumbnail was God tier. I put a lot of effort into that thumbnail. I actually went to the refrigerator. I got barbecue sauce on my hands. I smeared that on. That shirt's done. Yeah, that shirt had to get thrown out because I'm not trying to wash barbecue sauce out of a white shirt. But but I don't care about that shirt. That's why I used it.
It already had the pit stains and the barbecue
And
sauce
it
on
like
don't
it gave now.
No.
I am. Listen, I'm fat. Stuff happens, but not that bad. But like, yeah, I had to save back some stuff. I had to go through a little garbage picking for that video, and it like really got my stress level up to just see my house like that, even for a few minutes.
Dan looks like that without the video. All he did was lay on his couch. Let's not fool anybody here.
Yeah.
All
no.
he did was set the self timer, turn his phone out there, and lay down.
I did, and I learned how to use a self timer. I'm very proud of that. I'm teaching
Yeah.
myself a lot of stuff with this tech that's
Yeah.
over my
I'm
head.
telling you, this super chat thing, I gotta figure out how to do
Yeah,
this.
we're gonna get you there, man.
This is wild. I'm about to, like, I don't know. I gotta get this thing
That's
going.
it. He's gonna be quitting his job before you know it.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a sexy time on super chat,
Yeah,
YouTube.
there you go. I know. I want to sitting there, barbecue sauce on my titties. Yeah, exactly. That's the way you got to go.
That's
You got to
just-
get these things lubed
That's
up a
so
little,
rough.
you know.
He was doing the titty truffle shuffle. I did that the other day. I said something. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing the titty truffle shuffle," and it's the COVID weight. You can't help
Yeah.
it. I'm like one step from a C cup.
See, I told. Oh, here's another one. See that? Look, we're doing good. Appreciate both of you guys. Thank
Wow.
you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll send the link to my PayPal in the description below. Please remember to send it friends and family.
Yeah.
Venmo.
Yeah. Jason's got to redo the floor again. So.
Yes, absolutely. There's some cracks and some rust. I need to make that. I need a buffer. Jason's got to rent a buffer from Home
Yeah.
Depot, and that ain't cheap.
Yeah. So you guys got to sponsor that. You got to sponsor the buffer.
Yeah, please sponsor my buffer.
But what was I just gonna say? I just lost my train of
I
thought.
don't know. The
there.
money got us all.
I know. It got me off the rails.
Yeah, give him like another.
Super Tats will retire Jason. That's right.
They will,
Oh, the COVID.
totally.
When you're talking about the COVID weight, I told somebody the other day. I'm like, yeah, you know, I've just always been ahead of trend. So I put my COVID weight on like 4 years ago. You know, just have to stay out in front of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, that's funny.
Yeah, because like 2016, I was in great shape. I feel like Jason could kill on Super Strat if he went through every drawer he had the whole time. People love that shit.
Yeah.
People love room tours. Like they go crazy for that. If you just mention room tour or collection tour, like they go crazy for it.
Check out my video today. I did that. I go
Sam
through.
Musters,
I
yeah.
go through. I posted it probably while you were on your way over.
Gotcha.
All my pregnant boas, and then I have another one going up where I go through a whole bunch of boas. So take a look at that.
Plus, Kickback, if you haven't seen it yet, because you did some cool videos on when he was building the room down here. So you can kind of see start to finish, you know, it come together, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Especially because I am useless. Not only am I tech stupid, but like tools and we don't go well.
I'm gonna do a super chat. And I'm gonna hold the drawers to like people like, oh, if you want to see a BCL, that's gonna be $5.
Yeah.
$5. $5.
Hold-
Somebody
hold
give it
them-
to me.
Hold them ransom.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like one of those. What do they do? Like those webcam girls, like a fan,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
OnlyFans. I don't know how do those work? Do they pay to get stuff?
I don't
wanna
know.
be like that,
I think
but
it's
for
like
snakes.
monthly, but I think you can also
No, I don't want to
extra
do
stuff.
monthly subscriptions. I want to do like in the now. I don't know what
Yeah.
you call those. Might just be webcams. I want to do the in the now. You pay me this, and you get to see this.
So you see that? So now that $9.99 that was first is still there, but the $5 just disappeared.
Wow,
so that's
that's
how
wild.
the more you spend, the longer it stays there. Peep show, yeah.
Yeah, sexy time.
Yeah, we're gonna do a peep show. We'll have Jello wrestling or something.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably be winded right away. I need to check it out. I only watch you for Boa content. That Brian Boa guy breathes through his nose after every sentence. I don't know who that is.
It's
Do you know who that is?
I know who he is. I haven't watched a ton of the videos. I've watched a handful of them. I just haven't watched them. I can't really say much. Only reason why I watched is somebody messaged me saying that every time you do a video, like 3 days later, he does the exact same topic. And I looked at it and I'm like, you know what?
So
Every time I do a video, he does the exact same topic, which is
So-
cool. I don't care. It's a different perspective.
Well, you know what it is too, and that's one of the things that they teach you in the beginning, which I have not been good about when you're trying to do YouTube videos, is what they call the sequel. And so if you find a video in your genre that's successful, you're supposed to try to title it similar and have similar content, because what'll happen is they're getting like 1 million views, and every time it ends their video, it automatically starts yours because it's considered similar in the algorithm. So he's being smart if he's trying to build up a because you have a decent following on there, and so they'll see your stuff, and that's how that works.
I got it.
I've been terrible about that. But I do notice, like, if you put my top 5 something, some people love that shit, so
Yeah.
you'll get more views on something like that.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say. That was the only thing I noticed. Somebody called it out to me, and I'm like, no shit, it does.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I like it.
Well, you know,
I'm not bashing it.
he has good content on locality. He does. I was just joking. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't even know who he is, so I'm not into the boa circle at all. I have that one boa that makes an appearance on my channel from time to time. I think she's only probably been in maybe like 2 videos.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I watch very little YouTube or even just general content because I don't want it to influence me. I just feel like I'm doing my own thing, and the more I watch of other people, I'm not trying to be their channel. I'm not trying to be, you know, we got to be careful what names I throw around now. Last time that backfired hard.
The sirens are coming.
I'm not trying to be ex YouTuber. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to make my channel, and
I don't mind pulling some ideas once in a while, but I definitely feel the same. Like, that's why I wanted the Meet the Collection stuff, where I was getting into the personality of the snakes. I didn't see a lot of people doing that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But prior to talking to you up at Nerd that day, I didn't really watch any YouTube at all. And then when you mentioned it, I watched some stuff, and I thought, my God, like, most of the content's horrible on here. It's just misinformation. Not
Oh,
yours.
I thought you were talking about mine too. Like, that's harsh, man. Jeez.
No, not yours, but most of the stuff that I started watching, I'm just like, all these people are giving misinformation,
Yeah.
and they have these huge followings, or they're all doing, stuff that doesn't really promote the animals in the right light to get clicks and views and money. And I was like, my God, like, now I feel obligated to do something. And I've gotten much better at it. When I first started, I couldn't stand sitting here
Yeah.
talking to people. Not that I hate talking, but I'm not like the haha, look at me type of person. Like, I want to just kind of stay in my own lane.
Yeah.
So this is the most public exposure I've ever had, and it's like weird to me, but I've gotten used to it over the last
Except
year
the
and
one
change.
time with that viral naked picture went around the internet. He got a lot of that was public indecency.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll post whatever on Facebook, man. If people, I shouldn't say this because then I'll get fucking terrible people challenging me to
Yeah.
do stuff, but people are like, oh, you won't do it. Usually I will
Like,
with a lot of stuff.
You wait.
Yeah.
I won't do it today, but tomorrow.
And then you get the people that are like, they're throwing shade with compliments. Like, I remember I did that one where Rhiannon took a picture with it was like a tasteful picture where she's nude with like an old typewriter, because she does a lot of that kind of stuff. And then Keena did one as a joke with like a laptop, and I was like, oh, I got you, I'll do one. They're like, no, you
Yeah,
won't.
yeah.
So I did mine with the Kindle, and I'm all fat as fuck on there.
With a Kindle.
Yep,
I
with
love
just the
it.
Kindle on my shit, whatever. And somebody was like, wow, given what you look like, you're really brave or something like that. I was like, wow. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a massive insult. That's a
that hurt
compliment.
hard.
I don't care.
No, but yeah, I feel like I don't do YouTube to really grow it. The reason why I started it was because I was tired of answering the same questions to fairly simple questions. So I just made a YouTube for it, and I felt like the same way there's so much bad information out there. I mean, horrible information.
Yeah.
And usually the people in the Facebook groups and stuff that speak the loudest are like the 1 to 2 year people who have never really done it themselves.
Can we see some snakes? Jeez, we had a bunch of snakes.
We just
out
had a
earlier.
bunch. You gotta rewind it.
Yeah,
You
we
gotta go
sat
back.
down to relax because it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot in here.
You know,
It's humid.
there's lots of snakes. What's behind us? Anybody that's
Oh.
nice? You know your animals better than I do, so I'm not tub reaching here.
Oh, they're all kind of in shed right now, but
I know.
that's kind of cool. There's a blood het sharp albino.
See, I binge channels like the two of you only because I feel like they're a couple of the only something, and of course it goes away. Just subscribe to Jason's channel. There you go.
Yes, thank you.
He's the one. He's your subscriber.
Thank you. I've been looking for it. Super chat me later.
Yeah. Quality channels on the subject, so I prefer people. Yeah, I think Jason and I are both about like the animals and the joy of keeping, and not about the flash and flare and fancy tricks and whatever else. Like, we're both very similar in that regard. So that's why I think if people like his channel or my channel, that they would like the other one.
Yeah.
Because they're similar in that style. Obviously, we keep different animals too, so that's cool where you're not watching, we're both just a bunch of bloods or both a bunch of boas. You're getting a little bit of variety with the same style. So
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy doing stuff with Jason here. Pretty, yeah, that is a nice looking snake.
Yeah.
I love the look of boas. They just, I don't know. I've never gotten into keeping them. I have the one which I didn't go out and buy. Somebody dropped it off for me to watch, and it's just been like 5 years, and now she lives with me. but yeah, I just
can't reach any that didn't just eat.
Yeah, right. I find that a lot of I don't read boas as well as I read pythons, so I'm much more comfortable with the python realm. Like if I was going to go reach in and grab snakes, I would be in the Burm cages here because I can read them a lot better. I'm used to that. And plus, it's easy to read baby Burms. They're dicks, so you already know.
You just know that they're going to bite you.
Yeah, it's guaranteed they're coming for you. So it's just a question of when and how quickly you can maneuver them. To my favorite Snake Channel people.
Thank you.
I am so glad so many of you have low standards. We appreciate that.
But you know what kind of sucks is a channel like ours would never get huge. It just won't.
It's very limited. There's a ceiling to begin with doing just snake content anyhow, but there's a much lower ceiling for people like us. We have like a drop ceiling below the other ceiling.
It kind of stinks because it will never get to where it could be.
The attention spans are limited. The clickbait is what gets people there.
And I get it. That's cool. Like I'm fine with that. But it's some of this stuff will never reach an audience like it could help. I feel like the content.
Right.
Yes, it may be boring, but so isn't school. But you learn. Well, some people learn a lot in school, and there's stuff that I think we both put out content that can really help people if they listen to it.
See, to me, it's not boring because if I'm watching something, I'm watching for the information. I don't care about the flash and flare and all that. I want the substance.
Yes.
So, like, I was watching, I do watch some of Nerd stuff, and especially because I appreciate how intelligent Kevin is.
Yeah.
But, lately it's like you got to get through 5 minutes of, like, BS to get to that substance, whereas it used to just be straight to the substance.
Yeah.
And so I understand the need for that because you're trying to reach a broader audience, and obviously in a situation like his, he has overhead. He's got to pay employees. He's got to bring in money. And so the fact is doing that brings in more money.
Yeah. So let me use a for instance too, and I'm going to bring Brian in a light Brian Barczyk that isn't. If somebody takes offense to this, then I give up on life.
Everybody's offended.
I
by
saw
everything.
He made some content recently talking about new channels and he's trying to change what do people want to see. And he brought back like his old school videos. And this dude spit so much knowledge in like 2 minutes that I'm saying that is incredible. Like, and that's what I respect about some of these people.
And now you watch 20 minutes and there's not even that 2 minutes of knowledge like that anymore. It's more of the what's going to get clicks and views.
But I can understand why people aren't going to watch that. And they want to see the more of the vlog style type of thing, which is totally cool. But that's what I was saying is what kills me is these guys have such incredible knowledge, but it's like insane knowledge. Like Brian, literally in that 2 minutes to 5 minutes, he said so much stuff that maybe people didn't even pick up on. But I'm saying like this guy is so good at what he does, and it doesn't even show in his new videos.
No.
Because it's too focused on, shouldn't say too focused, it's focused on kind of getting the views and getting the attention of a larger audience.
Well, the thing is, like, when we're sitting here talking like this, like, these people stay on or whatever, but there's, almost 2,000 subscribers on my channel. There's 30 people here, and those 30 people might not be the 30 that started because they drop off the attention span. Look at the average time that people watch. It's always low.
Yeah, which, I don't have 2 hours to sit here and watch us either.
No.
It's
But the crazy thing is people feel that way, and I feel that way too, but then you end up watching 16 videos, you fall into some rabbit hole about World War II planes, or like you just end up there anyway.
Yep.
So you don't think that you do, but you do.
Yes.
And so I get it. So that's why there's that sweet spot. And like a lot of people ask me to make videos that are under 10 minutes, but when they're under 10 minutes, it's hard to make anything off of them because once you go over 10 minutes, you can get the mid-roll ads, and that's where you really start to get.
Yeah.
And when I say really start to get some revenue, we're talking like cents, but it adds up.
I'm actually going to start, how I originally started my channel was short videos. If you can't watch it while you're sitting there on the toilet, it's too long. Which is kind of, that was my thought process. Like these got to
be for a long time.
Dan's like, well, a 20-minute video will do the trick on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I started thinking like I want short videos, something that somebody can watch and get the message quickly. But like you said, it's hard to almost get a good point across. And I'm starting to do more of those. Like I have some unboxing. I got an unboxing video I'm gonna do. It's like 3 minutes long. I'm gonna make nothing off the video, but I just think it's something cool. And if somebody appreciates it and subscribes and watches the channel, that's awesome. My video today was 20-something minutes, and my video last week was like 5. So I don't even pay attention to that anymore, to be honest. I just do my thing, and who cares what comes from it.
Yeah, I definitely also watch a lot of videos or listen to podcasts while I'm cleaning. It depends on my mood. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's videos. My biggest thing is I feel a responsibility to support people that are supporting me.
Yeah.
Because it's like so weird to me, like even the super chat thing, like people are paying me money and for what? Because I'm sitting here talking. Like I appreciate it, and trust me, it helps because I'm a broke MFer. But
It's paid for his gas to get up here.
yeah, almost. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. How much more you need? Like another $5 or $10. Someone needs to give him $5 or $10 so he can at least
So I can make it home. Otherwise, I live here.
This is break even. He can't live here. Like literally, he's waiting for like another $5 to $10 so that we can go pick up some feeders.
Yeah. So
And maybe pay
that's
for his
true.
feeders.
That's true. I got to buy feeders.
Yeah. Don't forget about that.
But yeah, so I always feel an obligation to that. So I try to watch other people's content and try to get on there and comment. And it's always weird to me too. Like you'll go on and watch somebody's video and comment on it, and it's weird. And I'm sure you get the same thing where like we have those people where like if Kevin comes on and comments on something like ours, like it's really cool because you know Kevin's Kevin. But like we're that person to other people, and that's weird for me. Like
Yeah.
I always say like I'm a fat guy with an iPhone. Like it's really not anything exciting, but people get like it makes their day. And so if you can do that just by simply watching somebody's content, and you know, unfortunately, like for me, like the feeding videos, I get so irritated with that kind of stuff that I'll often unfollow people on social media if they post that stuff. Because I just don't want to see it. Like feeding to me is a chore. I don't enjoy feeding. It's not exciting to me. I've seen it a million times. I don't want to watch animals die and suffer. Like I just don't get into it. So I'll typically unfollow people that do that just because I don't want to see it. I don't go on there and be like, yeah, you know, and start complaining about it because I'm an adult. But I don't care to see it. So I'll typically just unfollow people. I've unfollowed a lot of people on Instagram and stuff because of that. But I do also, on the flip side, I've said it before, even though I don't give a shit about ball pythons, I'll like your ball python post because I want to support what you're doing and help that algorithm and just let you see that I appreciate the fact that you're doing things the right way.
You know what the funny thing is talking about algorithms? Well, 2 parts. One, the algorithms of short videos, they'll kill your channel, but which I probably should pay more attention to, but I don't really care. Like if it's a video I like, if it's 3 minutes long, it's going up. But 2, people will give you the thumbs down on a video and think like, oh, I'm gonna bash this channel.
Actually helps you.
Totally helps. So like thumbs up, thumbs down. The best thing they could do is not watch the video. If they really hate me, don't watch my video. Don't give me the thumbs down. It supports my channel.
That's
it
like
actually pushes it.
That guy arguing. I'll argue with you for 10, 15 comments because it bumps
Yes.
my algorithm.
Absolutely. Let's get into this. Let's go. Want to talk about it?
Yeah. I'm gonna put 3 separate thoughts and 3 separate comments so you have to reply.
Yeah.
Oops, I missed. I feel like feeding videos are something. Feeding videos is something most want to see. Yeah, which is a problem to me. I don't understand it. I mean, I guess I get it if you're brand new.
I'm gonna go make one tonight. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Oh, we're getting a low
I'm
battery.
gonna do it because I feel like not enough people are watching the channel. So the only way to get there is to do something like that.
I love
Not
your
a live
sarcasm.
feeding though. I'm not gonna do a live feeding. I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna do a live feeding.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna feed a frozen thawed.
Clickbait the shit out of them.
Then I'm gonna feed a frozen thawed. Maybe I'll just do a live. I don't know. Apparently, that's gonna get me like 50,000 more subscribers overnight. So I might
know,
just have
that's
to go
wild.
for it. Yeah.
I can't like and I know you're kidding right now, but I can't.
The
I
video,
can't even joke about it because I just can't.
I'm gonna do it. The
Can't bring
video is
myself.
gonna be watch me feed my baby snakes live mice.
And then have your back to the camera every time so they can't see anything.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna say
Do a
watch
bite
me
video.
Watch me feed my. That's gonna be the title. Watch me feed my baby snakes. Watch me feed my 20 baby snakes. 22 live mice.
Jesus.
Tonight. Look, 20 baby snakes right
Yeah.
there. 4 rows down. All 20 live feed tonight. Watch my channel. Subscribe.
So somebody just said do a bite video.
Well, getting bit.
I don't think that I would necessarily, like, obviously if I was doing a live video and I got bit, which has happened before on Facebook, my adult olive female bit and wrapped me while I was live. And I did delete the video after, but I did explain while it was happening that it wasn't a big deal. I went through it. Not clickbait. You have to put not clickbait on there. That's
Yeah,
important.
not clickbait. This one won't be. I'm telling you. I'm gonna do the live feed, and I'm gonna get bit. I got bit in a couple of my videos. I got tagged hard getting
Yeah.
bit, but I'm like, it just happened. I wasn't trying to get bit.
Right.
I just talk with my hands too much. That's why I got them tucked under here, so they're not
Yeah.
over here hitting Dan in his face. You know.
So, but yeah, so I think if I was shooting a video and I got bit, it would depend on the bite. But I do think that there can be some educational value in there to show people like, hey, look, I got bit, I'm fine, like no big deal. But it's tough also. So it's never happened while I was shooting a video for YouTube. I had one close call, which was a members only video where
Want it to happen right now.
my T positive Ivory got like my beard. He's shooting for my face and he got my beard, like barely. So he didn't actually get me. It was the closest call I've ever had where a snake didn't get me. But that was during a live feed, so nothing I could do, and that was in the members only area, so that video's still there.
$5 will get Dan almost bit right now. I have a snake that we can take out, and it'll get Dan almost bit right now. $5. We're gonna sell out hard, Dan. Just don't resist it. Don't super chat.
I'm resisting.
Super 5.
I'll push the car the last way home before I'll do that.
Listen, see, he's resisting, but I'm not.
big
And
tear
this
in my
is
pants.
a double. It's a tear in his pants. What do we got?
I love both your guys' channels. Dan makes me want to Sumatran so bad, and Jason's Burm size vid. I hate that I can't read a whole comment before it disappears.
We're
Beard saves lives.
We're gonna have
It
snakes
does.
biting, maybe not biting us.
All but talk to me into a male Burm, so you guys are absolutely a help to your audience. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching. Man, I don't know how you're gonna do with the super chats because they're not even giving my gas money. Why are you trying to get me bit right now?
It won't bite you. It's too far away. Just keep
Yeah,
talking.
okay.
It'll focus in on the heat.
Yeah, perfect. Just when all of a sudden I'm gonna get hit in the shoulder. But yeah, sure. I do have a few that would happily oblige, but I typically don't use them for videos. I try to use snakes that I know are going to be good. And I also like when a snake gets a little bit irritable in the middle of a video. Such an asshole.
This one is such an asshole of a snake, and all of a sudden it likes Dan.
Yeah.
Doesn't like me.
I'm watching the tail right now. The tail
Well, let's go
moving.
get another one that might be all pissed off.
Here we go. But yeah, so I like those snakes where you can see that change in behavior on the video, and then I can talk about what's happening and how you can counter it so that the snake feels comfortable again. Do I have the oh my God, this one's definitely ready to go. You fucker.
$5 super chat. We bring it a little closer. Look a little bit closer. It's focusing on me though. That's the problem.
Yeah, well,
Let's
not
put it on
anymore.
Dan's lap.
Not anymore. It's focused on me now.
Look at his face.
Well, I'm not even paying attention. I'm leaning closer. That's how I almost got bit by the blood. Would you call him a masshole? He's a former masshole now.
Former.
You've moved.
Everybody's like, "What'd you move to Connecticut for?" And I'm like,
I don't know.
"I don't know. Like, apparently you've never been to Mass."
I know. Everybody's always like, oh, well, why don't you move to Massachusetts? I'm like, they're basically the same place. Not much difference.
Yeah, I kind of like Connecticut. It's nice here.
Oh.
I don't know why they're being so. Probably because I haven't tried to move them yet.
Yeah. I'm say if I touch the side of the neck right now, it'll happen.
It is like, wake it up a little bit.
Oh, perfect. Thanks.
Come on, Dan. You hold the tub for a minute.
See, I don't know Boas that well, so I don't know their strike range, but ooh, she just turned
How
on me.
about right here?
There you go.
There's the strike range.
Perfect. Oh, now she's mad.
Yeah, so like right here. We got Dan to move off camera.
She's increasing her range right there now that she's hanging out.
This is called social distancing.
I don't want her to get stuck in my. I saw that thing where it says social distancing is easier with a snake. It's true. Oh, she's eye fucking me.
Yeah, she loves you. I don't want her to.
She's gonna land in my lap.
She can almost hit me at that range.
Yeah, which was where my face was. Thanks. Ooh, she's coming.
But she's actually pretty she's okay.
She's turning for my leg.
She's all kind of cranky right now, but.
But sometimes once you pick them up and get them transitioned there,
Yeah,
now
unfortunately not her.
Now you're gonna have a problem getting her back in because now she's up and about. Jason's trying to kill me.
It's one to get your blood pumping.
Yeah, I'm fat. It already happens. Where the hell is? I can't find the button because the chair was blended in.
Dan just got all nervous.
Yeah. I heard someone say Connecticut a few days ago. I like, man, Connecticut's far worse. Yeah, I mean, I think they're both terrible.
I think it depends on what you're looking for. I grew up in the city, so like I saw my first deer when I was 20-something years old. So I mean, moving to Connecticut where I am, it's it's just a cool spot because I can still get city feel while I can get the mountains. And
It's funny because like well, when you come out to my house, you'll see, but this is like city to me, you know, even though you're kind of suburbia here.
yeah,
Like I don't have neighbors I can see. I have one guy through the woods, and during the winter I can just see his house.
you
You
like
know?
smell the smoke from his fireplace. Well, that's how it. You know, I feel like where I am right now is it's centrally located. That if I go 10 minutes north, I'm in the city. If I go 10 minutes to this side, I'm in like some hippie town. If I go 10 minutes this way, I'm in some bougie town. 10 minutes over that way, I'm in some hiking trails and mountains. So
Yeah.
I like where I am right now.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had my share of bites over the years. I still remember my first bite. It was a banana phase king snake. And I knew he was going to bite me, but at that point I was kind of curious to see how bad it was, so I just let it happen. And he was funny, like he would fight you over his paper. He was on paper, and if you tried to take the paper out of his cage while he was in it, he would literally grab the paper and like wrestle it from you. And so he got mad at me for doing that, and he bit me, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I was nervous about this. I think sometimes getting bit, if you're apprehensive about getting bit, can be the best thing for you, depending on the snake, of course. You know, that's not advisable if you're keeping gaboon vipers, but if you're keeping gaboon vipers, you better be past the point of fear of getting bit by a boa or a corn snake, because you're not ready.
And keep in mind that bigger snakes have bigger teeth. I didn't understand that concept until I got bit by a big snake. And then I was thinking, wow, I'm so dumb. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to get bit by a big snake because I wanted to see what it felt like. So I actually scented my arm with the guinea pig. I rubbed a guinea pig on my arm. Like, so dumb. Like,
Don't
what
do
the
this.
hell? No, don't do this. What the hell was I doing? And I stuck my arm in a big Burm cage, like a 15-foot Burm cage, and which totally would have put me in the hospital. And like, especially if it was a bite and wrap. And I mean, I was just doing this because I wanted to see what it felt like. Like, what's wrong with me, you little kid? Like, stop it. Like, go wash your arm off, and that's nasty. But yeah, a lot.
That's the easiest way to put that one.
But it was, I wanted to get over my fear of getting bit by a big snake. And I didn't have the concept that the teeth get bigger. I've gotten bit by small snakes, but a big Burm teeth, big. Those are big. Those things, they're not like little needles anymore. Those things are like quarter-inch thick needles.
Yeah.
Getting bit by,
Well, that's
by
why the
like
white lip
zero-gauge
scares
wire.
me so much, because they have big teeth. And it's like a lot of the arboreal stuff has a lot bigger teeth than people realize, because they're grabbing birds out of the air. So, you know, there's going to be a room for error, and the bigger teeth they have, the easier it is to grab onto.
But not even just long, thick.
Oh, yeah.
Like wide. It was like a zero-gauge wire. It's
Yeah.
like if you step on it, sometimes like Burms will lose their teeth. Get them in your foot. That sucks.
That's no good. But yeah, Bloods and Shorttails have pretty small teeth, so they're not bad. They just hit like a Mack truck when they're
Yeah.
really mad. So it's more the force of the bite that gets you than the actual bite itself. But yeah, that white lip is the only snake I have in my collection that truly worries me about taking a bite from her, because
Yeah.
I worry about damage, you know, because they can get your ligaments and things like that if they get you in the right spot.
Yeah, really mess you up good.
Yeah,
You gotta
so
be
she makes
careful.
me nervous.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I used to do, I don't do anymore.
No.
Especially scented my hand with the guinea pig.
Massive white lip I got off of Craigslist bit my ass. Kid made me teary-eyed, couldn't sit right for days. Oh, bit your ass, literally. I was thinking like bit your ass is just as a person. Wow, I kept a large sperm as a kid, 14-foot bro, never. Oh, we already saw those ones. 2-person rule. Yeah, so
Yeah.
with certain bigger snakes, it's definitely advisable. And that's why I get so frustrated when people are like, "Oh, you know, I'm fine. I can totally handle this on my own." And it's like we can all handle it on our own if the snake behaves.
Yeah, till it bites your face.
Yeah, if the snake decides it's not behaving today, they can be a handful for you. And that's where it doesn't matter how jacked you are. An adult Burm, an adult rock python, an adult retic is stronger than every single person that you're going to come across.
me.
Yeah. So, there you go. But there's people literally that think that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I tell people this, the safest way you can handle these animals is to understand their body language and read them. Because then, you know, 99% of the time, you know they're coming before they might know they're coming once you know these animals. And that's why I say, like, you know, Megan works with those anacondas. She's swimming with them in a pool. Those snakes could kill her in a heartbeat. But the reason she's safely working with them is she understands how to read their behavior. It's not
Yeah.
because she's jacked. And she's strong for her size, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't matter if she was, you know, a 300-pound big person. Like, the adult anaconda is still stronger than you.
Yeah. And it really, honestly, even a small snake, I've said this before, like a small snake in the right situation can take you down.
Yeah.
A corn snake wrapped around your neck could totally choke you out.
Yeah.
I
It
mean-
only takes a couple of seconds to stop that blood flow, and all of a sudden you're on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, the chances of that happening, I mean, it's probably very low
Yeah.
versus a 15-foot retic.
Yeah, because with that adult corn, even with everything it's got, you're still strong enough to remove it.
Yes.
But once you get into that, even in the 8-foot range with some of these constrictors, they start to get real dangerous.
Absolutely. And it's dangerous if you don't have the knowledge
Right.
to work with them.
And that's
you don't
that's why
take
you
the right
don't
precautions.
throw them around your neck and then run around the yard where something makes them nervous. You know,
Yeah.
it's got to be smart. So think with your head, and you'll be a lot safer.
Think with your brain.
Speaking of biting faces, I have a 4-foot children's python that goes for my eyes every time. So a lot of snakes do that because that's a natural response. They understand that, you know, with a predator, the mouth and face area is the most dangerous area. So if they're going to try to neutralize you, neutralizing that area is the safest way for them to do it. If they're biting you on the arm, you still have the ability to bite them back, and they understand that. A lot of species do. So typically, more often than not, when you're getting bit in the arms and stuff, it's usually either a quick defensive bite or it's a food response where they're wrapping you up and they're not thinking about that as much. But I know with African rock pythons, with the white lips, they will track your face really, really well. They're very smart about it. And, you know, my younger rock pythons, when I was keeping them a lot, I always had to keep them out of my face because as soon as they got within a certain distance, that instinct just took over. And even though they were fine, now all of a sudden they're tracking my face and they're looking to neutralize that threat. So you have to be aware of that with animals. That's why, you know, I have a lot of my bloods and short tails in my face a lot because I trust those animals. I've bred those animals myself. I've had them for years. It doesn't mean that they can't bite me in the face. I just trust that it's unlikely to happen. What are you looking
I'm
at?
trying to see if we can get a $5 more super chat.
No, they want me to stay here forever. They don't want me to have gas to go home.
He needs gas. Listen, I gotta get some feeders, and he needs $5 more to go home. Dan, this camera's nice. It makes me look very sophisticated. Like I got those grays coming, but
Yeah, you do.
But they're
But
decent?
that just looks like, oops, that just makes you look smarter, you know?
yeah,
like
that's
that
what
age-
I just noticed.
age and
that.
experience.
Looking in the camera, when I get close, I can really notice it.
I try to stay back. I'm big enough. See, even at the same thing, I look huge next to you. So if I get too close, it's gonna look like I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah, dude, but we're handsome people when we look at.
Although one of my
look
favorite
close.
pictures of all time is that one where you're in the next to Kevin as like a kid. That's one of my favorite pictures ever.
It was, I don't know, so I ended up nailing on my shoes.
Yep.
And I'm next to him with the thumbs
But
up.
it's perfect. Like you can't tell that your feet are behind you.
It's
Like the
not.
angle's perfect.
It's so good. And the first time somebody met me, they thought I was a dwarf. And they're like, he told his wife, like, hey, listen, this is actually a small person, so don't make fun of him, don't make any comments. And I ended up going to pick up some feeders from him, and he's like, I thought you were gonna be real short because I saw that picture, and he like, that's the only real picture I saw, and like that's who I thought you were. So he thought
my
I was gonna be
God.
like this like 3.5 foot
amazing.
person walking into his
That's
house.
amazing.
He's like, you're a lot bigger than I thought.
My favorite time ever with that is I have a buddy of mine who's like 5'4", and we're at the bar, and like this fight breaks out, and there was an actual midget at the bar, and he comes over to my friend. He's like, "Yo, you're with me, right?" And my friend's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "We have to stick together. We're little people." And
Oh, no.
I'm like, "Dude, you just got called little by a fucking dwarf. It's no good."
Actually, cool story is I took my motorcycle down to Florida from Massachusetts, and we were sitting at a bar in Fort Lauderdale, and we look over, and there's Wee Man from Jackass. We're like, whoa, no fucking way. So the little Wee Man was there. He was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole, though. He wouldn't really talk to us, which is, I guess, is fine.
Yeah, I always, I don't know. If I was, you know, when you're a celebrity, it's just like 24/7. There's
Yes.
always people up your ass.
It was just cool. We're sitting at
oh,
this,
yeah.
like, no-name dive bar, and all of a sudden we look over, and we're like,
Yeah.
you Wee Man?
He's probably thinking, here, nobody's gonna know me here. He's like, motherfucker.
Yes, I could finally escape.
But yeah, so I can't imagine. I think I would probably be a jerk to people, definitely on occasion. And the paparazzi would know that, and they would definitely poke me.
Yeah, he's
It
like,
would
my real
happen.
name isn't Wee Man.
Never thought of the fact that my snake is worried about me biting him. I'm not saying they're necessarily worried about it, but they're conscious of it, that this is the most dangerous area. And another thing that often people make a mistake with, where, you know, the snake might be good, but all of a sudden as you're talking, you know, we exhale stuff that to them only a predator or prey item is going to do. So sometimes that can trigger that instinct. So you just always have to be aware that that can happen. and try to not put yourself in that situation. But like I said, I spent a lot of time, especially with the animals that I bred myself. You know, they've been around me since day one. And so I have a lot of confidence in those animals. And also at the end of the day, if they do happen to pop off and bite me, I'm not going to panic or anything. So that's another thing. Plus, as we were talking about before we started this, the best way to get bit is be afraid to get bit.
Yeah.
The animals pick up on that nervous energy, and it just, they don't necessarily know that you're afraid always, but it just gives them the signal that something's off and puts them kind of in that situation where they're more apt to be defensive.
And actually, if I'm cleaning cages, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll kind of blow warm air out because I know that my face is out of the strike range, but my hands are within it. So it'll bring the focus off my hands towards my face, which I don't know if don't try that unless you know the strike range of snakes. But,
Find out real quick if you made a
yeah,
miscalculation.
all of a sudden you get a snake on your lips. But I'll blow warm air towards them because it'll have them target my face. And again, I know that that's where the strike range is.
Yeah, Garrett's method was interesting because it's never anything that I thought about. I don't know if you saw that where he said you can actually like bite onto the tail of a snake if it's got you bitten wrapped and it'll let go. And it
Never
actually
thought that
does.
far.
It actually does work.
Really?
Yeah.
I usually
Which I don't know if it would work for every species because I've watched my female white-lip bite herself, and she, like in her mind, she's got two battles going on because the one she's biting, so as she's trying to pull away, she's trying to bite harder because the item's escaping, and then in her mind also she feels the pain, so she's trying to pull away, but she didn't let go, and she really messed herself up one time.
I don't think I'd want to put the tail of the snake in my mouth. To be honest, I think I just let it bite
Yeah,
me.
but I mean, if you're in a situation where your life's on the line and that's the way out of it,
Oh,
then
yeah.
I understand. But yeah, no, it's not high on my priority list. I see what comes out of there.
Yeah, and I guess that would have to be a really big snake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. I
I don't even know if you have anything here that I feel like I would employ that with.
No. Maybe. I mean, maybe some of the Burms or a big bow if it had you in the right spot. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know if that would pass my mind.
But they say it works really well with retics, and obviously retics can get pretty big
Well, the
and
problem
strong.
is a lot of the
so
times when
it didn't work for my 20-foot retic, so there you go.
yeah.
Are you sure you're biting the right area?
Yeah, you gotta bite the cloaca specifically, and hope they don't piss in your mouth at
Yeah.
the same time. Oh God, that would be terrible.
So
Burn piss in your mouth.
one of the best things I ever saw was I was up at Nerd when Josh was still there, and Josh went to sex a short tail of mine, and it sprayed him perfectly right in the mouth because he was in the middle of talking. And Rob and I were standing there, and we were in hysterics.
Hey, baby.
There's my gas money. I can make it home.
Yeah.
Today's oil prince.
I am today.
You are. You are.
You are great because I need to pick up some feeders.
What was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? That Carlos Mencia when he had the drive-by shooting song or whatever, where it's like East Coast, West Coast, I don't care. When you do your drive-by, collect the gas fare.
Can I stop this for a second? You need to follow my channel.
Just taking everybody. Get out of here.
Yeah, everybody follow my channel. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
I gotta plug my phone in when we get over to Joe's too, because my battery's gonna die.
Well, I
and
don't know if
have
he's
no
at his
GPS.
place. He's at a different place.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. I think he moved from the shop now.
Yeah, but it's two.
I haven't
It's
been
2
up in a
o'clock. We've
while.
been doing a long
Oh yeah,
time.
we gotta go. So we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Thank you very much. Make sure you check out Jason's channel. Once I get some time, I'll put the link in the description of this video. But also on the community page, I mentioned him in a comment, so you can go there and find his page. Jason's Exotic Reptiles. If you just want to spell it out, it's not anything crazy. It's just exactly Jason's Exotic
Yeah,
Reptiles.
just exactly what it says. And if we can't end the video right with the super chat going, because that's cool. So give us one more thing to show.
What are you gonna show?
I don't know. Whatever.
What do you got that we haven't seen? Something crazy. He starts unbuttoning his pants. Run.
Yeah. I don't know.
Uh-oh. See, now he put himself on the spot.
Yeah. What is the person who did the super chat? I didn't see the name. It was like Snake Peepee or something, right?
That was one of them earlier. I don't know if that was the same one this time.
What do they want to see?
It was Snake Peepee. What do you got?
Snake Peepee. What do you want to see?
Snake Peepee. Most expensive snake. Oh, see, that's kind of subjective too.
Well,
Or what's the one you spent the most money on that you bought?
it didn't make.
That I was gonna say that's here.
Most expensive snake that I just bought would be.
Obviously not that $10,000 one that passed away. He's digging in bins right now. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We're down to 22 people. We've lost a lot of people.
Yeah, once we told them we were going to leave,
Yeah.
and everybody left before they could see the most
21,
expensive
lost
snake.
another one.
So this is a fire paraglow, and it's so this is a fire. I'll turn it to, there we go. It's a fire hypo that is double het for Boa Woman Caramel and Sharp Albino. So Boa Woman Caramel, Sharp Albino together, the two hets, they won't make a visual. I forget the actual genetic term, allelic or something like that. But it makes a visible morph, which is called a paradigm. Add hypo to that, and it's called a paraglow. So this is one of a kind snake, only one that I'm aware of who wants to bite me, and just a super cool animal. This is produced by Gary Audette. He's in New York, and I got a whole group of snakes from him after my move. Like I said in my move video, a bunch of snakes didn't make it, so I ended up buying some stuff to kind of get us back up. And this was one of them, Fire Paraglow. So this is probably one of the most expensive snakes, if not maybe the rarest snake that I have. And I bought a bunch of other stuff from him too.
Nice.
But that's it.
That's it. So we're out of here. We'll see you guys. Make sure you check that stuff out, and hopefully Jason will get some more merchandise. Are you trying to get me in the face while I'm not looking? I can see it on the camera. We'll see you guys.